Welcome back to the LCS. It's Super Week here at the Riot Games Arena, and it's do or die for many of our remaining competitors. First up, Disguised have had a much stronger start than last year, but after a tough Game 5 defeat last week, they're only one series away from elimination. Their opponents, Team Liquid, returned to the stage after barely qualifying for brackets. They haven't had the performances many fans were hoping for thus far, and they've got to find their stride if they want to stay in the running. Can Team Liquid get it together, or will DSG knock them out and pull off the upset? Let's find out right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Captain Flowers, joined by Azael and Emily for this best of 5 where the loser is done till spring.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy,
a lot of
actually,
pressure.
now that you say it. I also want to know if we're like trying to pass off fake money as real money in the lounge.
We should probably not be doing that. It is. Look, I am going to go ahead and say we are not trying to do that for anybody watching at all.
Yeah, cover our bases. I like how you think. But in looking at these two teams, the big thing to me and the kind of surprise in all of the analysts, especially Raz's prediction, is how confident they are in Team Liquid. I know so many of us put them at the top of our power rankings. I do still feel like there's so much more pressure on them in this game because of the names on the roster and because of preseason expectations coming, as the lounge already pointed out, from those scrims where everyone I talked to, and I know you guys had the same result, is everyone was saying they were absolutely dominating everyone in scrims.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, if TL lose here, though, it's kind of the same result as summer last year, right? Where it's like they fell out, you know, you'd be 5th, 6th, and that would be a massive disappointment for this team that rebuilt, retooled, got Quid, who was kind of the hottest offseason prospect, to just have the same result as this disappointing finish in summer would be crazy. So yeah, the analysts are still feeling pretty confident in Team Liquid, but I don't think they've shown us enough on stage yet to really kind of earn that confidence. So they have to be able to show us here today how well they can play against the DSG, who has been very competitive. They went 5 games against Sentinels. They've been good throughout the lock-in tournament. And now it's time to see if TL can really step up and become the team that we kind of all expected them to be.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is a really, really nice pickup coming out of first pick for DSG, taking away the rise from Quid. I feel like when TL have been using Quid's playmaking or kind of going for set plays, a lot of it has been when he's on this Rise pick. They seem to have had a lot more success in terms of moving around the map. With Rise, he gives you such easy access to side lanes. So really nice pickup coming out of DSG rather.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I mean, it's also going to be comfort for Calmy, and I think Calmy had some pretty rough games against the Sentinels. A number of the DSG players did, to be frank, have games that were kind of below their expected standard. Lyons had a really shocking series. Kryra had some moments that really did not go well. So I think there is also this question for DSG. It's like, can you shake that off? Can you kind of, you know, have that goldfish memory, forget about the last series, just go back to playing how you had been playing prior to that series? Because there were definitely some tough moments in it for a number of these players. But I will say Castle was a big standout. He was playing really, really well. I think Sajed has been fantastic, and they're going to lock in the Nami Corki, a really powerful bot lane duo here for Sajed and Lions. So we'll see how they can perform on that.
Yeah, and as we see on the TL side, them locking in Yunara and Nico, another really strong bot 2v2 coming out here for TL. And I think TL bot lane has been the focus, not just of the team, but of other teams, right? We saw even in that best of 1 against Dignitas, they split the map. They made it a really huge point of pressure to try to attack that TL bot lane. As we see the Ambessa coming in, most likely going to Morgan, but could also be going to Jose Diogo.
Yeah, there's always that possibility of it being a flex. Castle's most played by a lot is the Renekton's. They're going to ban that away, which does also lead me to believe that it's going to be Ambessa top.
Exactly.
You're trying to deny some of these more difficult matchups here. But DSG, obviously, going to be pretty happy. You know, not only did they get first pick, but they got full counter pick of what we're expecting the bot lane to be. You know, yeah, Quid could potentially take the Nico, but we're expecting that's the full bot lane. So they had the answer there. They have the priority mid pick. And still respect, though, from DSG that it could actually be a jungle Ambessa because they're banning out the Gwen.
Yeah, and I mean, kind of covering all of your bases also could be something to set up for potentially whatever castle wants to pick. Did that say my boss quit today? So I came to LCS. Sorry, I got distracted. As the Jace ban coming out against DSG as well by TL.
Yeah, Castle is one of these guys that is very flexible. Obviously, the Nasus pick got a lot of attention, but he loves some of these kind of like solo queue answers and various picks. So he's more difficult, I think, to predict, which I do think is why we're having some more of these top lane protection bans coming out there. Anivia going to be taken away, has become kind of the de facto answer to Ryze these days in competitive. It has really risen in popularity around the world. Had been more Cassio that people had been looking towards, but I feel like people just got so used to that matchup and were able to pretty easily respond to it just with phase rushing out of the Cassio W, whereas Anivia is really difficult to deal with.
As you see, as if they're listening, the Cassio hover, but it will be the TLAW locked in for Quid going up against that Ryze. And we'll see what DSG want to respond to it on the other side.
And this could be the first TLAW for Quid so far this year. Of course, they haven't played that many games, so not a big deal. It is one of his most played all time.
I was going to say, when I used to think of Quid and River working together on 100 Thieves, they ran the TLAW in both positions, actually. But they also ran that TLAW Vi so much. So we know how powerful Quid can be on this pick. As we see the meatball machine, as Clayton was calling him last week, the Scion locked in as that frontliner for DSG. Yes, exactly. That's what it was.
All right, so we'll get the Scion, we'll get the Wukong right next to it there in the jungle. So there's your front line on the side of DSG. Meanwhile, for Team Liquid, the last pick coming through here. What is it going to be to round out this roster? Let's see.
Up, and Trundle is going to be locked in as that final pick for Jose. Really interesting pickup, not something we've seen him play yet thus far this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think Trundle is extremely strong. Anytime a Scion is in the game, you just get a ridiculous amount of value from this pick because you are leeching resistances, you are taking a percentage of their health and just chunking them instantly with that.
Yeah.
And it can kind of turn Trundle, you know, into a super tank himself, right? Like, you can become very difficult to knock down, so I love it. The Pillar also has great interactions, you know, with the Scion ulti. You can block out that Scion ultimate, no problem with that. I do think it's a really powerful pick for a lot of different reasons. I also love Trundle into squishy champions like Nami without a dash. You just throw down the Pillar behind them. That can make it incredibly difficult, easy to set up for seismic shoves, for public executions, for these types of skill shots to come through.
And talking about the Scion as just being this premier tank, Trundle being able to shut that down, being able to create the opportunity to punch through that brick wall on the front line, I think is so important. I especially think it's really important when you're having to deal with the Wukong also right next to him, who's going to be jumping in, trying to create a lot of disruption himself. So excited to see what we get here in this first one as we're loading onto the Rift for the first time in this best of 5. Remember, this is for the life of both teams. If you lose here, you are eliminated. We will not see you again until spring. Do or die, leave it all on the stage.
Stakes are high for both of these squads, and LYON unfortunately had to pause immediately when we got into game, so hopefully, hopefully it will be a quick pause so we can get things sorted out here quickly. We'll let you know as soon as we do find out any details on that pause. But yeah, both teams, their life on the line here in the lock-in tournament. Of course, you know, have some work to do if they want to make it all the way to the first stand. Thor told me that was his goal, and he's like, yeah, we've lost more games than we were hoping. We started in the lower bracket, but we're not out yet. We can still make the first stand. That's our goal. So the path at which they take is less important. Looks like we are on pause, so things should be good, and we should be able to get this one underway. Going to be an exciting one here. LYON on that Yunara, something that I think he can really excel on. And something that he's going to have to excel on to be able to punch through the front line.
Yeah, when we were talking about this pick first coming out, he was actually the first to win on it, I think, of any major region competitor, just because of it had lost in every other region. So we kind of dubbed it the Yonara when he first started playing it last year.
All right, runes showing up on your screen right here. Everything seems pretty stock standard, not super surprised at pretty much any of this. Core JJ and LYON, the double Yonaras
Yeah.
down here in the bottom lane. We'll see how much control they can get early. We know that Yunara is a very, very scary champion level 1. If she's allowed to stack up the queue, can force pretty much anybody else back. But so Jet and Lions should just be fine.
Yeah, and I think the big thing that we should be looking at, again, for TL is this bot lane, because I feel like they were such a stellar point for TL last year. We talked about how LYON was the best ADC in the entire LTA at the time. And in the 2v2 meta, I was really, really expecting TL to kind of have a stranglehold on a lot of these 2v2 matchups. And I feel like they've slightly underperformed compared to my expectations, but I also do feel like a lot of teams have been targeting them, as we see them already getting the flash out of Sajed.
Yeah, Sajed kind of just overstaying there. TL got 2 first, and Sajed clearly wanted to try to fight for it a little bit more. Ends up losing his flash right off the back of that, so that already is a nice advantage. Especially, you know, as we said, Trundle can take advantage if you're missing that flash, if you're overextended. Sure, you have Valk, but he just really has to hold the pillar until you Valkyrie, and then you're pretty cooked.
And both junglers are on the bottom half of the map now, so Jose Diodo, with the control over bottom lane that his bot duo has, should be able to have control over that crab very easily as well, you would have to think. Or maybe if there's the opportunity to punish that flash like we're talking about, there's even more playmaking there.
Yeah, as we see them all the way pushed up to turret, doing a really, really good job of completely taking over the push on this bot side, and really, really nice looking for this TL bot lane thus far.
Castle's having a great time up here in the top side, getting that one shoved in on the Scion. Has a lead of a few minions, but really nothing crazy in any one lane here just yet. Jose Diodo is going to make his way towards that bottom side crab, exactly as I was expecting. And you can see the pathing from Kryra just heading towards the top side river, knowing there's not really a way to contest down here for this bottom one.
This isn't a C9 game. We're not going to see the first crab battle.
I mean, especially when you have full push from TL's side, there's just not really any way for Kryra to contest that. And you have that strong side on top right now, as Castle has been laning well. I talked about it a little bit during Champ Select, but I think he has been fantastic for the team. Really was a good performer in their 5-game series. Got a lot of attention for the Nasus, but was great, I think, pretty much across the board in that series, and is going to have to also show up here today. Morgan was a guy who received so much hype, I think, coming into the season. A lot of players were even telling me they thought Morgan might actually be the best player on their team, even though he hadn't really been getting talked about a lot, whereas, you know, everyone really was focusing more on Quid and LYON and this sort of thing. So it's going to be a pretty heavy expectation on Morgan. And we haven't really seen that player show up that I've been hearing about from scrims yet on stage.
All right, you can see mid laners right now, Quid going back, making that first purchase, just buying a lot more mana for the inventory, is just now level 5. So once we get to level 6, I want to see Team Liquid also succeed in utilizing these Weaver's Walls, set up plays. We're talking about LYON on the Yunara needing to stand up and be that big performer, and I think Quid being able to facilitate that with his Talia is going to be very important. We're talking about the guy who was seen as like the big piece during the offseason that so many teams were trying to fight for, and it hasn't looked as good as I think pretty much anybody was hoping so far.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, I think he's had some really good moments, but as they covered on the lounge, you know, before the day, the reality is he's had some really bad moments too that have cost him pretty heavily, and that is kind of the weird thing about TLs. You watch them individually, they all look really good. For the vast majority of the game, the team play is good, they're creating big advantages, and then the wheels just fall off, right? And they're kind of having these moments where you're like, all right, you're clearly on different pages. Jose Diodo, after one of their games, he was getting interviewed, and he was on the lounge and just talking about the fact that he felt like they were not going for plays that he would expect them to in scrims.
Ooh, nice. They get the flash out of Call Me because Jose Diodo shows up after the phase rush had already procced. Call Me had already got that burst of speed, and so didn't have it to try to get away from the pillar. That meant that Jose could close the distance, and as soon as the threat of the chomp for the further slow is there, the flash is forced. Nice quick move there from Jose.
Yeah, really nice, and kind of a early, easy demonstration of what this Trundle can do, playing off of his lanes and kind of playing around this push that Quid's Talia has already been able to create. And we'll see, because as you were pointing out, Isaac, already, it hasn't been a lot of like individual mistakes as much as it's been, okay, what is the team play looking like? What are these especially like in mid-game skirmishes, what is that kind of looking like? And that's where I really do want to see Quid making plays with this TLAW, easy access to side lanes, right? Like, kind of moving around the map like...
Oh, hold on now, there's your Weaver's Wall. Also, Realm Warp gonna bring DSG to the mix here too. Team Liquid backing away, trying to secure control over the crab. Sajed off to the side, wants to get a little bit of damage here. Some burst out into Jose Dioto, but he drops the subjugate to keep himself alive for now. Both junglers going to be taken out of the equation. And now a flash over the wall from the Nami as Team Liquid look for even more. Call me, remember, no flash available on the rise from the earlier play. Core JJ goes in for the flash route, and there's the extra kill. 2-1, TL.
Nicely played there by Core at the end to grab that extra kill, but honestly, not that bad for DSG considering they didn't get the crab. So Jose had 6. Generally, that means the fight is going to be a disaster, but Sajed had some really nice positioning, kind of wrapped around the backside, was getting a ton of damage down, and that's what prompted Kryra to fly in, getting Sajed that first blood. Kryra had been kind of just harassing Jose in the brush here.
Yeah, as we see the crab fight begin, I really like how both mid laners actually end up trying to go. Only the clone gets trapped by that pillar, so then we see Sajed kind of wrapping around on the Corki, and he's able to get so much damage in along with the Nami bubble to kind of stun up Jose. And then this is just a really nice play off the back, recognizing Call Me does not have flash. Core JJ immediately goes in, lands the root, and that kill goes over to Quid.
Yeah, well played. You can see good CC chain as well, though, from the DSG side to be able to take down the Trundle. It's Room Prison and the Nami bubble. Sajed is behind him. I thought they played that quite well. It definitely could have gone a lot worse given the scenario, but at the end of the day, LYON and Quid both get a kill. Sajed, though, showing off that level 6, the power of the Nami and the Corki.
Yeah.
Extremely high burst. And then you look at his inventory, you're like, well, surely he has some big damage.
Nope.
He's got a ruby crystal in his ear and some boots.
It's like...
Gotta watch out for that. I also want to talk a little bit about Lions, right? Because I thought he had his absolute worst series he's had in their series against Sentinels, as we see potential scuffle over this red buff.
Big invade coming out from DSG here as they want to fight Jose for the Team Liquid red buff, and it looks like Team Liquid is just going to decide, okay, we don't want to fight for this. It's too big of a risk. DSG brought a whole lot of bodies here, and they're going to get the red buff for it. Morgan goes for the public execution there onto Castle, finds some quick snappy trades, but honestly not a whole ton of damage.
Yeah, and I like how they played immediately, DSG rather, how they played immediately off of that bot side pressure, right? They recognized, okay, we can go in for this invade. Some of DSG's invades have been, let's just say, highly optimistic in some of their previous series. But I like that one because of how much damage Sajed was able to get down in that bot lane, and then recognizing that they could go in immediately for that. I'll go back to what I was saying about Lions really quickly, in that we're looking for kind of a redemption series from him, and that early skirmish is already a really nice sign with the Nami bubble doing a lot of work there.
And right there, you can see Team Liquid looking to see if
him.
Yeah.
maybe they could catch the fish out of water.
I'm such a curse. It's very unlucky.
Well, he does survive, so curse averted for now. But it's pretty hard to go deathless on Nami, so maybe it's just lingering. It'll come back to get him later.
Well, let's see as we continue to have junglers maintaining their presence in this bottom side of the map. Kryra's going to go ahead and start up that first Drake. Not a particularly fast first Drake in this first game. 9.5 minutes on the clock. Call Me is going to walk over and assist Kryra with a little bit more damage. Lions and Sajed also, considering they have the push in the bottom lane, this should be an easy objective secure for DSG.
Going to be able to grab that no problem. And one of the things I talked to Ido about before the year started was, he's like, hey, we have all these players who don't have a tremendous amount of experience. Actually going into the series last week, 4 out of the 5 of their players had never played a playoff game.
Okay, we've got ourselves a Realm Warp, and they want to make the 4v2 dive as the wave is about to crash into the Tier 1 turret. There's your target. Pop Blossom from Core JJ tries to defend, but there's just too many enemies. Disguise brought everybody they needed. They get both kills, and they get everybody out.
And I love that from DSG. We were talking about how we wanted to see Quid make some plays in the sideline. Great use of the Realm Warp coming out of Call Me, who, again, we were talking about him potentially having a redemption series, right? Teleporting both him and Kryra just as the wave comes up. And even though Core does get that Pop Blossom on the back half of that, it's kind of already over. I love how they sync that up with as the wave was crashing into turret, right? Really, really nicely done out of Disguised.
There's a Diodo, just going to go ahead and pick up the Void Grubs. Unfortunately, not nearly the fun objective that it was to take in the previous season. Not nearly as powerful as it used to be, but still going to set them up. Maybe they can get some dividends from this if Morgan's able to maintain side lane control, or Quid can make some moves with the Weaver's Wall.
So this is the preseason power rankings to the end of Swiss standing. So we can see, TL was the kind of de facto first place team. Is Sajed's gonna flash in?
Yeah, LYON is taking a whole lot of damage here, and now more follow-up onto Core JJ, who's got to try to get away. He's already used the clone. The rocket forces the flash there too, as Team Liquid's bottom lane duo is continuing to feel the pressure from Sajed and Lions.
Yeah, what a great showing thus far from this Disguised bot lane, really recognizing when they can apply pressure, and now they have complete control over this bot side, and Sajed is up almost 1K over his lane opponent in LYON.
Yeah, he's doing great. Did cost him his flash, but we'll see if that gets punished or not. He's now also done the Triforce, so on a pretty big spike here, but to touch again on those power rankings, the preseason power rankings had TL in first. That was our aggregated power rankings in the LCS, and DSG was aggregate last, right? So DSG ended up way overperforming, I think, people's expectations, especially because, talking to Ido, the whole team was supposed to be basically built around Kryra, who they didn't have at the start. They were playing with Kizno, who they had played 3 total scrims with, 3 games. That's the totality of his experience in LCS scrims, and they did great. So DSG just kind of has been this Cinderella story, and the question is, has the clock struck 10? Like, is it over, or will you have that kind of continuation?
Okay, Lions takes a quick bit of burst down here, but Jose Diodo can't really find any opportunities to make any big plays. And now, with Jose being in the bot lane, Kryra's going to take the opportunity, invade the Team Liquid jungle, steal away the blue buff.
Yeah, nice recognition of Kryra that he can steal some jungle camps on this top side. But I love what you're saying about Disguised, Azale, just because like they were scrimming with Kryra on a higher ping for most of it, and they still managed to take a series with Kizno up.
Ooh, nice seismic shove there from Quid. Going to force Call Me down way lower on the health bar than he expected to be. Just catches him right there at the very edge of the turret range.
Yeah, I think Call Me just really wanted to stop that base and, got a bit greedy for it. Was hoping he could step in, maybe make him cancel the base, avoid the seismic shove. But at the end of the day, doesn't matter too much.
That last part tripped him up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. The best of intentions. The worst of execution. My League of Legends story.
No. Wait, that title actually goes pretty hard, not gonna lie.
Both junglers up here in the top side of the map now. Jose Diodo seeing if there's anything he can find, as Kryra is still ahead in the jungle. First items fully complete for both of these guys. Sundered Sky versus the Trinity Force. Wukong, so much burst once that Triforce is completed. This guy is very, very scary, and Team Liquid is going to have to give him plenty of respect, considering Disguised is up 1,500 gold as a team, and the biggest leads are in the jungle and AD carry positions.
Yeah, and the 2 Triforces hand in hand, they should be in a really good spot for any skirmishes that happen. And I just love how, honestly, Disguised have been playing with this bot lane thus far. Like, now they're moving them over towards that top side, try to get some damage there. Up.
Ooh, public execution. Call Me's in a lot of danger. Morgan goes after him, though, but the Realm Warp defensively keeps the mid laner for DSG alive.
Going to be able to stay alive there. And honestly, a little bit surprised to see Sundered Sky as the first item coming through here for the Trundle. In pro play, I sanity checked myself, but 96% of the time, that is the item purchased. So, we'll see if he is going to go into like a later Triforce or something a bit more weird. But obviously, Sundered Sky does have some sustain on it. Like, that's the main kind of advantage, is that if you are able to get autos out on a bunch of different people, you have some more healing. But Trundle just works so well with Triforce. Like, it's just so ingrained in the kit because the attack speed is really useful. Move speed core, swing and a miss, tries to get a little bit tricky.
But yeah, I completely agree with you. Triforce just feels like it's such a good Trundle item, so we'll see how much value Jose is able to get out of this Sundered Sky. Top lane Scuttle Crab secured here by Team Liquid. They have control over the area. They're still looking over at Call Me. They know the Rise no longer has the Realm Warp to try to maneuver out of a bad position that he might find himself in. So Jed just has to be a little respectful here of Quid on the TLAW. He does have the Seraph's Embrace fully completed, fully stacked, and evolved, as now Jose Diodo has the opportunity to just take down this Rift Herald all on his lonesome. Lions gonna make his way towards the top lane tier 1, reinforce Call Me there, make sure there's no danger, but Team Liquid just gonna turn their attention back over to the Herald. Where do we want to see them use this?
I mean, I would have said to try to set up for Drake, but that's not gonna happen. Is they're trying to make a play on the Call Me on this top side, but that's not really gonna go anywhere. I mean, I still like the default is to always use it mid, right? Just because mid turret is the most important, like, early tier 1 turret. I think that's pretty inarguable, and my, like, ideal setup is always right before Drake if you time it, right? And then you get mid prio, you move in, you immediately continue Drake stacking, but we did see the trade of objectives with DSG being able to get that Drake already, and then TL picking up the Herald. But that's still always just default to mid because I just think it opens up the map so much for you. And we talk about this, again, TLAW, easy access to side lanes. You want to be roaming around. You want to be able to apply map pressure wherever you are. Taking down the mid tier 1 always helps with that.
Yeah, it has been a bit of a slow burn game, but I mean, DSG has a slight gold advantage. They have...
The Jed's in a lot of trouble, though. The Arc of Ruin lines it up, and they knock it down. Kill credit goes over to LYON as well, with a nice seismic shove into Kryra right after. They're looking for more, but they don't have enough damage to kill the Wukong here, too. Team Liquid getting LYON paid, catching back up, now overtaking Sejed in terms of individual gold, and they'll be able to summon the Rift Herald up mid, and Kryra's about to drop to Jose Diodo. The Sundered Sky is plenty enough. Trinity Force not required, and there goes the enemy jungler as well. This has been such a massive swing for TL.
I mean, it's huge. They just went from down 800 gold to up 2.3K in the blink of an eye. And it feels like kind of just some unforced errors almost. I mean, Sejed had no Valk, right? Because he used it aggressively, but he did have his flash, didn't use it. Then Kryra tries to clone over the wall, clones into the wall, doesn't use his flash either. He dies too. And it does feel like they just kind of gave some freebies over to TL.
And that was your two most fed guys. Those were the guys that we were praising earlier as those big individual gold leads, nearly 1,000 gold ahead each. And then, yeah, the aggressive Valks, you love to see them when they result in those big bursty trades in lane, when the Corki is able to have that priority, that control. But then he gets a little too aggressive. He gets a little too overconfident. And Team Liquid are fast to punish. Now Sejed in danger once again. Flash, pop, blossom from Core JJ. Not going to find a target. Beautiful bubble follow-up coming in from Lions. But now DSG, where are they going to go from here? Jose Diodo has to flash away. Castle and Morgan both going to arrive. Meanwhile, the bottom lane turret falls with the tier 1. Team Liquid is just going to lose core on that one.
Yeah, they do lose core, and it is kind of a trade of flashes at the end of the day because Jose flashed, core flashed. They got both the flashes off the bottom lane there from DSG, but as you called out, great bubble from Lions to be able to set that up as core was trying to get out to safety after the failed engage.
Yeah, it's nice to see, again, a little bit more redemption from Lions coming out here. They land the pillar onto Sejed. Sejed is able to get away, but then really, really nice. It looks like a double bubble because of the Nico clone.
It counts.
Yeah, Jose having to flash out of the back half of that one. But it's really nice to see Lions having a little bit of a redemption game because I actually agreed with something you said on the dive, Azael, with him actually performing. It does, occasionally. Occasionally we agree on
I say a lot of stuff.
But I actually thought up until last week, he'd been performing pretty well. Like, he'd been really, really solid, especially in team fights. And he had a really, really, really rough series. So it's nice to see a little bit of a redemption game coming out of him thus far.
I mean, I think, not even just this year, I think it's his worst series in NA, period, that he's ever had. And it was definitely a bit of a shock because he had been performing really well for the team. Had looked like he was on point. Sejed pretty far up.
Yeah, the Corki's in trouble again. The damage flows through, but there's not quite enough to kill him through the barrier here just yet. Sejed staying alive for now, still fighting, but does finally fall. Traded for Jose Diodo. Kryra Gets over the wall there with his clone, has to use that Cyclone as well. Morgan's going to grab the tier 1 turret up there in the top lane at the same time. And Team Liquid continues to play aggressively around this Fed Yunara. LYON 3-1-2, has 2 fully completed items, working on the third. Very, very scary.
Yeah, it is really nice to see, again, the pillar usage coming out of Jose, I think, has been really good with TL trying to chain all of this CC. And LYON, again, we've talked about how strong he can be on this Yunara, was put down early by Disguised bot lane, but it's really coming back, and now every time DSG try to make, especially Sejed, some sort of aggressive move, TL has been on it.
I just love the emphasis on move speed here for Jose. He went 3 points Q into 5 points W, so additional move speed. Then he has a Deadman's. He's just so fast.
Okay, Castle trying to frontline here as Morgan flies into the backline, but he's going to take a ton of damage from DSG. Both top laners get chunked down very, very low here. The Scion, obviously the tankier one, as Morgan trying to wrap around, see if he can get some pressure onto Disguise. Remember, this is sole point if DSG can secure the Drake. Slam not going to do a whole lot. A nice follow-up seismic shove coming out from Quid, forces Castle to flash away. Dragon down to about 40% HP. DSG still looking to take the objective as Kryra has to force Morgan back away. Team Liquid carries under a little bit of pressure. Castle about to die. Jose Diodo going to grab the kill on that one as Lions is burning so very low, but he's not quite dead here yet. Castle still trying to make a little bit more space, but Team Liquid will take the fight. They will take the Drake, and they will stop DSG's stacking.
And all throughout that team fight, you could see even with a few TL players getting a little low, they were able to blow so many flashes off of DSG. DSG, as soon as it seemed like one member saw an angle, they ended up having to back off because all of the damage coming out of TL.
And it kind of all came down to Castle getting caught on that top side. You know, he tried to go in, gets pillared, gets seismic shoved in, he's incredibly low. And then you look on the other side of the map, and it's a completely different story. Morgan is threatening here. The battle lines completely break for DSG. Lions is kind of caught awkwardly, just trying to run away in the middle of the fight. Sejed is by himself while Kryra was trying to duel Morgan. Everyone kind of seemed like they had a bit of a different idea, whereas TL, they had this early trade of health, and you think, okay, well, surely Morgan's going to be less useful, but he threatens on the flank after pushing out the bot wave. The other core 4 of TL stay together, where DSG got kind of disjointed and a little bit split up, and that cost them that third dragon.
Yeah, and going into this, the question was going to be for TL, like, how well coordinated are they thus far? And we've seen some really, really nice, like, little marks of play from them that I think make them look a little bit more unified going in than some of their previous outings.
Liquid is lurking, and Call Me is finding himself in a very compromised position. Weaver's Wall gonna chase after him. Seismic shove knocks him out of the Realm Warp, and there is no way home for the Rise now. LYON on a killing spree. Team Liquid picks the enemy mid laner. He'll be dead for the next 45 seconds, but what's the follow-up move from there? LYON goes forward, still has the ulti with the Arc of Ruin to try to force DSG away from the tier 1 turret. Now Castle's gonna be the target. That Scion is not as tanky as they'd want him to be. Morgan just cuts him down. Jose Diodo makes it so easy with the subjugate.
Yeah, I thought they were going to go straight to Baron, but instead they just make a collapse on mid lane, and they do look for a hard engage. And we saw Morgan fully committing to that. He even looked for a flash ult on the Nami, which did get flashed, so that was kind of wasted. But again, Castle goes down. Now they will return and at least threaten the Baron, but of course we know it is going to be a bait.
Ooh, if that seismic shove would have hit Kryra, that could have been the play, or maybe they'll get it anyway. Kryra down to 20% HP, tries to use the Cyclone to get away from it, but Core JJ with a beautiful Pop Blossom stops any chance of DSG recovering there. Now with the jungler dead for the next 40 seconds, Team Liquid seriously looking at that Baron pit.
Yeah, absolutely. You see, again, the chain CC coming out of this TL comp. They're going to knock down at least the Scuttle there, get full vision over the entire top side of the map here.
And I really love the interaction that they actually used to catch Kryra. So this is one of these things that you don't always think about. So the seismic shove missed, but what Jose did is he placed his pillar directly onto the Wukong to bump him into the Unraveled Earth. So he gets stunned by the TLAW E, even though the seismic shove missed. Just used that little boop, knocks him into the rocks, he gets stunned up. They chase him down, they knock him down. So that is very well played by TL. Utilizing that Trundle and getting a big advantage.
And now the map is completely dark for Disguised on this top side, so we see TL kind of cleaning up camps, potentially looking for more picks, pushing out this top wave.
Ooh, good sidestep.
Yep, that was really, really close there for Kryra, as Morgan now could find himself in a bit of a tough spot. Jet with the damage over the wall, Valks forward, chasing after the Team Liquid top laner, but they don't go any further. They're afraid of the Team Liquid counterattack.
Well, and Castle was afraid of that wall because he ulted straight into it. So who put that wall there? Who decided it was going to be Mountain Rift? That's some crazy TL bias from the game designer.
From the terrain itself.
From the terrain.
The terrain is rooting for Team Liquid. There also could have potentially, if TL wanted to go for it, been a really dangerous wraparound there too. But no, they're kind of content to keep baiting out with Fog of War on this top side.
And this just feels like classic TL with a lead. Make the map very dark for your opponents. Lurk around in the jungle. Try to find a couple of picks to then continue making your big plays after that. Castle's going to be the one who has to face check things here. But man, this map is so scary. Fog of War everywhere. Lions is just going to drop. LYON gets the last auto. That's a free kill for the Yunara. As now CoreJJ hits a 3-man pop blossom. Kryra tries to save himself, but Morgan takes him out. Castle's in the middle of everybody as Morgan can fall back before he ends up having to give his own life. Now Castle gets knocked down. Enemy jungler, enemy support, enemy top laner, all out of the picture, and Team Liquid's heading to Baron.
Just like you said, the way they play with Fog of War, I love whenever you see Core waiting in the bush because you know he sees the play. He's looking for the angle. Really, really nice stuff coming out of his Nico once again.
Yeah, finds a great engage. I mean, it's Castle walking forward, but he's just not really that threatening. He's not really that tanky. No one is there with him, so he steps up, and Jose just starts slapping him. And again, Lions is kind of on the wrong spot. He was separated from the team. The team seems to be a bit disjointed on how they want to approach these fights. So he just gets chased down by LYON for free. Core finds this big pop blossom, and that feels like now the wheels have fully fallen off at this point.
Yeah, as we see them looking for Castle here. And the big thing that I want to call out again is just Core waiting here. You know he wants that engage to go in immediately.
He R-autoed, so he pop blossoms in the air. So it actually was perfectly timed. I thought that's what he might have done, but I didn't know that even though like the animation goes off early, it actually stuns where you land, it looked like. So that was super well timed by Core. Well played.
Deep breaths, guys. Use your eyes.
Deep breaths. Got to stay calm. Got to get all the way to the Nexus. Like you were talking about, Azale, CoreJJ earlier mentioning, yeah, it's not the start to the season that we wanted, but our goal is still achievable. We've just got to get there. Even this game started off a little bit rough. Disguised had a 1,500 gold lead after the early game, right? You had big advantages for Kryra and Sejed, but then Team Liquid were able to maintain their composure. They found windows where they could punish their opponent's mistakes, and then as soon as they got those punishes, they've been snowballing it ever since.
Yeah, they've had complete Drake control ever since as well, which has been really huge for them. And now LYON is up 2K over his lead, and I think they're playing around his aggression so well with the insane amount of CC as Quick goes in.
Yeah, they're going in for the Weavers wall, and immediately Lions is caught. LYON finds the Arc of Ruin there onto Kryra. They want to get a second kill here if they can, but Kryra gets away for now. Call Me going to reinforce him. Meanwhile, back in the mid lane, LYON looking at Sejed. Kryra wants to go in after the Team Liquid AD carry, but CoreJJ is there on the defense. LYON staying alive for now. Castle doesn't have the damage. Call Me trying to get something, as at least Quid will fall. LYON right next to him, but Call Me loses his life in the process. Morgan gets the killing spree there onto Sejed, and it's only Castle still standing on DSG. Beautiful use of the public execution to buffer through the decimating smash. Morgan guarantees the ace, and Team Liquid's looking for the end of the game.
Mbessa does not care about the towers at all, as Core is even going to be able to survive. Objective bounties are available soon. That's the cope. We're going for some bounties here.
You might need them.
Just get some of these shutdowns, pick up some towers, easy kill on Morgan for 1K, you know?
Well, the game's not over at least. It's still going. DSG's still in there, but man, 10,000 gold difference. Team Liquid still with the Baron for another 10 seconds. The power play up to almost 3,500. This is looking grim.
And I always just feel like when you have the luxury items coming through, like Zonias, Seekers, GA, each one of those is one nail in the coffin, right? Yep. And that gets so difficult because when you're behind, you're always hoping for a catch out. You're always hoping for a one shot that can maybe, that can maybe even out the game. But when everyone has their tools available to keep themselves alive, it gets so hard. LYON is really your only reasonable target, but trying to fight through a Trundle, through the Pop Blossom, through the Ambessa, to be able to get in on him is just almost impossible. And
they were already having issues with that going in, like the fight that led to the base break was exactly that, right? Like Kryra goes in on the Wukong, tries to get a pick onto someone, and then is immediately CC'd by the Nico. So they were already having issues with that, and now everyone has a lot more survivability.
Team Liquid in the enemy blue side jungle, looking to push through bottom lane now. Remember, the mid lane inhibitor is already destroyed, so TL is going to try to find opportunities to pressure here in the side lanes. You can see the wave pushing out top, but nobody's on split push duty just yet. Kryra is deep behind enemy lines. We're going for the long con here. DSG knows they have to get a pretty insane engage to have any sort of a chance at all in a competitive fight, and Kryra's the one looking to set up for that.
Yeah, I mean, the real problem is even if he finds like a 5-man Cyclone, the damage dealers have to be there too. He's only got 2 items. He's not going to be able to do it at this point.
Okay, Quid pops his Ghost. Not going to find a whole lot of efficacy for that here just yet. Jose the Odo getting juggled around a little bit. Couple of knockups there. As the Subjugate is used, Jose wants to make sure he doesn't just get randomly picked off here. So Trundle ulti off the table for a little while, but TL's not in any real danger. They continue to move around as a 5-man unit. Nobody's going to be a straggler. Nobody's going to be left on their own, and they'll just get out of the danger zone.
Yeah, I mean, it does stop a little bit of the pressure they were applying as, nope, they're going in for another play.
Yep, there it is. Pop Blossom seals Call Me's fate. Quid's going to be the one taking the kill on that as TL, after picking off the Rise, look for a little bit more. Morgan does not land the public execution that time, but it's a 5v4. Castle's in the bottom lane trying to clear out the minions, but that top wave that I mentioned earlier is just about pushed up exactly where Team Liquid wants it. They can try to force their way through the top lane tier 3 turret next.
Yeah, Morgan is mid. He's pushing that wave up. The supers are going to be on the Nexus towers here pretty quickly, so DSG has to respond to that, and that is going to mean that the top lane turret is going to be completely exposed. TL, though, decide, you know what, we don't need to push any further. Dragon is in 25. Yep. Let's reset. Let's just continue stacking towards Soul. They clearly, based on those comms from LYON, don't want to take any risks. I think this is something that they realize, hey, we've thrown from these kind of situations. Let's stay composed. Let's take the 100% win rate strategy. Let's just make it safe.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about a Team Liquid squad, a team that throughout their history, this has never been a team that's like, yeah, okay, let's just try our best, guys, right? Like, TL has always been an org that is very locked in. They want to win trophies. They want to be competitive. They want to go international. And now that you're on your last life, now that you've barely qualified to the bracket stage, having to play in that tiebreaker match against Dig, that it looked like that one was even dicey for a little while. They're really trying to minimize those mistakes as the third Drake for them is about to fall. Should just be able to pick that one up easy peasy. Now Baron's alive here too, and DSG are trying to position in a way that they might be able to contest it.
Yeah, and we'll see. It's not looking great as that pillar lands onto Castle. And we have the TP coming in from Morgan. He might be looking for a wraparound flank here. Sajed.
Rise on Sajed, the Corki. If they manage to get the pincer attack on the AD carry, it's over before it even begins. Kryra takes a little bit of poke there from CoreJJ, and Sajed is about to die. One more auto attack would have finished him off as LYON has to flash back away now, and Morgan has found that pincer attack. The Corki and the Wukong are both already out of the picture. CoreJJ staying alive there with the Seeker's arm guard as Call Me just barely has enough damage to finish him off. Meanwhile, LYON gets the kill on Castle and now has to get away from the dead Scion. The Arc of Judgment is enough to slow down the dead body, so the only one they lose is CoreJJ, and it's an ace for TL.
I love how LYON was the one telling them to chill out in comms. We saw from FBI's comms what happens when the ADC is baiting out stuff. Their really beautiful coordination with the Morgan flank coming around on the Ambessa.
And that's going to be all it takes. Team Liquid, it was a bit of a rocky start, but then they turned it around in the mid-game. They played it safe. They didn't take excessive risks. They make their way to the Nexus, and they're going to go up 1-0.
The inhib respawned.
Yeah, I think the inhib respawned.
It's not over.
Yeah, I think that it still should be over. Okay, there we go. Now they're going to go up 1-0 here in the series.
I was like, wait a second, we just tapped out. I saw that Nexus, the health bar disappeared. I've been in that game before. But they do get the win at the end of the day. Great performance here from TL to kick things off, 23-8. They started down a little bit, but they were very composed. They punished DSG in that third dragon fight in particular, really navigated that well. And it was a swing of nearly 3,000 gold within, what, a minute and a half? And it felt like after that, it was TL's.
All right, Lounge, let us know what you're thinking. I actually love hearing from the pros when we get to see these little tips and tricks things for stuff you would never think about, because I would never think about lethal tempo on Ezreal. I barely know how to play Ezreal at all, so that's very helpful.
But now if you have to.
Now if I have to, I'm locked in. Thanks, Jan.
You'll stack lethal tempo and then lose.
Yeah, I probably still will lose, because the problem is you still got to hit the Qs.
Exactly.
That's my first big hurdle. But Team Liquid have cleared their first big hurdle in this series. They won the first game, and I think that if you're disguised heading into this second one, when you look back and say, okay, where did it go wrong? The answer is the mid lane play. Sajed Valks forward. He ends up getting punished. Team Liquid are immediately there for the consequences of that, and then Kryra dies right after. I feel like that was the point where after that, they never really had a real shot.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, the early game was fantastic for them, right? They had this almost 1K gold lead. They had the first 2 dragons. Felt like everything was going well for them, but games swing very, very quickly these days, especially with bounties and all the plate gold that you can pick up off of key kills. So it is tough. You got to be staying locked in. We heard Jan saying that even when they were up massive amount of gold, still had to lock in.
All right, Disguise have selected last pick for this second champ select. That means Team Liquid got to choose the blue side for themselves. They'll ban out the Azir, the Akali, and the Pantheon. Meanwhile, DSG taking Jarvan, Varus, and Orianna off the table.
This means that we have a standard draft, as in my brain isn't going to be trying to warp its way around.
Like, you don't have the bugs in there trying to figure out like what's going on. That's what it feels like. There's bugs in your brain when it doesn't have the same structure it's had for the last decade.
As we see the Vi coming out for Jose, I've liked Jose on these kind of playmakers where he can link up to his lanes. We'll see what they want to partner with it. I think her most eager kind of mid lane duo partner there has already been taken off the board in the TLAW, as we see the Aurora locked in on the side of DSG.
I really like the Aurora here, especially for DSG, because both Castle and Calmy can play it, right? So being able to keep that flexible is quite nice. Yep. You know, sometimes on a team it's like, yeah, it's a flex, but this guy's not going to play. Let's be real.
Not really a flex, right? Well, the Xin Zhao locked in right next to that Aurora too. So 2 scrappy junglers here in this one. Could also gank very effectively early. Ahri picked in next to the Vi.
Yeah, and this isn't necessarily something we've seen a ton in LCS, but the Vi-Ahri combo has been seen in other leagues. Specifically, I'm thinking mostly of LPL and LCK. They really like this, and I kind of targeted Quid when I saw the Ahri buffs coming through and being like, I'd really like to see him bring this out and play this. So we're going to be able to see that Vi-Ahri combo coming out of Quid and Jose Deodo.
Yeah, and we got to see Calmy play Ahri last week. It did not work well for them at all in that series.
That was, look,
so now
I was trying to avoid mentioning that specific Ahri outing in the LCS.
Ooh, it's going to be mid lane Aurora, because I think they're doing the Galio as the Rumble answer, but both are great matchups.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys noticed the stat that popped up when Rumble was locked in. Rumble is 1-9 in the LCS. This champion has been a total stinker so far this split, and I think a big reason is because you have stuff like Galio that you can pick into it that's just so effective.
Yeah, I kind of feel like people are looking at it, and it's been nerfed a number of times over the last couple of months, and it keeps getting nerfed and nerfed and nerfed, but people are still playing because it's comfort. And it kind of feels like one of these picks, kind of similar to Renekton. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Where you get this slight CS advantage in lane, but then your counterpart is just more useful.
Yeah.
And we're also seeing too many teams where they're drafting Rumble with little to no setup. And I think that is, to me, like just such a cardinal sin. It is very difficult to get consistent equalizers if you don't have any AoE CC. You have the Vial right now, like that's something at least, but to me it's like, it's just a different pick when you have a Rel on your team or a Nautilus on your team versus when you're playing with like a Karma bot. It's just not the same at all.
Exactly. The Karma bot will not be available, unfortunately, because DSG have taken out of it. Look, Enchanters are back, Azale. You're going to have to deal. But I like the Ashe being taken off the table as well. I think Ashe Seraphine still in the right situation. It's just an insane
Situations being everything.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty strong.
They can run rampant. I'm like still kind of enjoying the return of enchanters, to be honest. I'll get sick of it eventually, but
Lane
like right now,
also likes enchanters. It checks out.
Yes, very
Her
much.
favorite worlds was the Ardent Sensor meta. Interesting.
No, it's not, because I have WE trauma from that. As we see the Kaisa locked in for Sajed, we talked about how much he enjoys playing that pick. I think even in their loss, their first game we ever saw with him on the LCS stage, he still performed super, super well with that.
Yep, they're just slamming it. Kalista Renata, as soon as I saw the Kalista get hovered, you to think about TL's bot lane, you think about lane dominance, and to me, as soon as you're hovering the Kalista, that is the prime pairing. Again, they are kind of lacking some CC here. You know, you do have the Vi for a lockdown, you do have the hostile takeover, which can be really, really good against some of the short-range champions over on this side, so can be really powerful, but really it's just the Vi kind of as that go button, and on the other side, you are going to be throwing in the Xin. We'll see what the last pick is going to be. Lion's Bard is going to maybe be a bit of a jump scare for some people after last week.
All right. He's got a lot to redeem.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, I do think his Nami game in game 1, there were some mistakes, but it was, you know, better than definitely his last outing. The Bard, I think, was the game that everyone was kind of looking at being like, okay, he's having a really, really rough series. So we'll see if this can be kind of a similar redemption for him.
I will say, you know, Bard is a pretty solid laner, so like that is maybe why they're going for it. Like, hey, let's just try to protect the Kaisa, you know, keep us stable in this lane. But when I think about Bard in really winning situations, I think about carries with low mobility that are easy to ult. I don't really see that as being Kalista and Ahri, right? You know, Kalista's hopping nonstop, and Ahri has dashes on the ult and the move speed on the W. So to me, I'm a little bit concerned about the efficacy of the Bard ults. So we'll see if he can prove me wrong.
Yeah, and I do, one other pick that I do want to point out, because they did slam it so quickly, is I do like the Renata against a lot of what DSG are going to be trying to do, right? Like kind of stymieing any sort of engage or re-engage they're going to be making in team fights. If you can sync that up with like a really fat rumble equalizer across the team, that could end up looking really, really good for TL.
All right, let's do it. Game number 2. DSG showed promise in the early game of game number 1. We'll see if they can repeat that and get it all the way across the finish line here in this one. I think in particular, talking about the bottom lanes, talking about LYON and Core wanting to play for lane dominance. Remember, it was Sajed and Lions that were constantly getting very good trades on them in the previous game. The Corki aggro was very strong. It ultimately ended up being their Achilles heel at the same time. But this bottom lane 2v2 should be pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun as we see these two trading pretty heavily. Once one starts trading, you kind of have to keep trading the autos back and forth. You don't want to give up any sort of disadvantage. And the minions spawn so early that these level 1 trades are way more impactful, right? Because you can't just take a quick base. They're both just going to be starting down a potion and about at half HP.
Yeah, and both of their junglers are starting on the top side. We'll see if... I keep hoping for this. It's even less likely now in the current meta to see someone go for like any sort of cheeky level 2 gank. I don't think the health missing for either mid laner is going to be the difference maker here. But it is always a possibility that I like to call out when stuff like this happens.
It absolutely is. Also want to talk a little bit about playoff experience between the two teams. Core, no surprise there, is going to be absolutely dominating the field as far as the experience. But, you know, 5-5-5-5-5 all down the way until Lions. That was their first playoff series for 4 out of the 5 members for DSG. They had never played a playoff game, you know, before last week. So for so many of these guys, they now at least have one under their belts. They have a little bit of that stability. Even the people that are like, oh yeah, Morgan doesn't have that much experience. Well, he still has more than the 4 out of the 5 combined,
Put
right?
together, yeah.
So TL definitely expected to win, definitely have that big experience advantage.
Yeah, especially coming out of, I love talking about kind of what Core has meant for this team. We saw him have an absolutely stellar game 1, but listening to players like Quid and Jose Deodo kind of coming onto the team and talking about how much Core means has been really great to listen to.
And I'm glad you bring up Quid and Jose Deodo, because Quid was giving Jose a hard time about the start of last game.
I'm not panicking. I'm just telling the facts.
I charge my mouse like once a week.
Me too. But this one was at 0.
Yeah, you panic. You charge to 51%, and you randomly panic. Oh, my mouse is 20%. My mouse is 20%.
No, wait. I'll explain. The champion select went off, And I saw 1 second 22. I was like, ah, shit.
You're nervous, man.
No, I wasn't.
I love it, man. Jose Diodo not charging the mouse up enough. We'll see how much charge he's got on this one because, hey, his team at least has total control over the bottom lane. Kalista Renata, if you're a jungler and you see that as your bot lane, you should know that you will have control over bottom side grabs.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a little bit of a different look this time coming out of TL bot lane. We've talked about how they want to play through having powerful 2v2s. We've talked already about how strong LYON was last year and having a little bit comparatively of a down split to start this split 1. But again, going to be able to get that bot side crab back, and we see him headed up towards his camps again on the top side.
Yeah, I mean, Sajed obviously had to take a pretty early base here. Does get back, gets the call, but at least now he's back to full health. He has a potion. He is in base, and we'll see if they can kind of stabilize and keep this lane in this current state for a while. Because LYON hasn't been able to get back to base to spend any gold. So right now, things are about as good as they're going to get for a while for that bot lane 2v2 on the side of DSG.
Both of our junglers are back on the top side of the map now. We did kind of just have the handshake for the crabs. Obviously, if you're in Kryra's position, you know that you're not going to be able to contest against the Kalista Renata that are hard slamming the lane for that crab, so you just walk up to the top side. Checking in on Morgan versus Castle. Again, the Rumble with a 10% win rate so far in this early play in LCS 2026. Morgan looking to double Rumble's wins after this one.
Yeah, we'll see if he can do it. Initially, the early push in that lane was going over to the Galio as expected, but he should be able to at least push this wave in on the top side. And we did see
flash for flash here in mid lane as Quid wants to go for the charm, try to catch Call Me off guard, but Call Me has the fast reaction and stays safe.
Yeah, and that was set up by the earlier charm he landed, being able to get so much health off of Call Me earlier on. I really like him being able to go for that. And now we'll see if either jungler wants to take advantage of the fact that we have 2 flashless mid laners now in this lane, in this game.
I mean, especially I think, you know, when you get level 6 for Vi, you know, that is kind of that easy combo that you're going to be able to look towards. That being said, Aurora is pretty tough to knock down. You have the invisibility, you have your ult where you can kind of bounce back and forth, and sometimes put, you know, Vi, who is ulting into a pretty bad spot. But I would expect Quid and Jose to want to group up as soon as Jose is 6. And we'll see if there's going to be a fight over this bottom side scuttle as Jose goes back to base. But assuming he gets right out and grabs that, he's going to be the one that's first to 6.
Yep, remember that the bottom side scuttle fight, the third scuttle crab was our first big scrap in game number 1. It was damaged to both sides. We didn't end up seeing a Drake take right after it or anything similar, as Jose Diodo and Kryra both going to show up close to the mid lane here. Both mid laners have their ultimates available. Kryra with the win becomes lightning, jumps in after Jose, but a lot of damage coming out from Quid. Kryra in danger. Remember, there is no ultimate here on the Xin Zhao to use defensively to try to escape. He does, however, have a lot of honey fruits there. Lions walking up through the river now too. Importantly, both mid laners using their ultis. Quid only has the single charge left, wants to get a little bit more damage onto Call Me, who has to hop away as Core JJ goes forward, wants to land the handshake, pulls him back. Weirding does keep him alive though, and that's first blood over to DSG. Kryra gets it done, but TL wants to get one back. Jose Diodo, nice revenge kill, 1-for-1 trade.
Pretty good, though, honestly, for DSG. The fact that they not only get first blood, but also their AD carry did not move. So Sajed ran straight back towards bot lane. He's going to be able to get some farm here to try to even things out a little bit, which he desperately needs to do, because LYON is already 20+ CS ahead. Call Me unlikely to go down as LYON takes a couple tower shots.
Yeah, the double turret shot there really doing some serious damage to LYON's health bar. But yeah, Sajed needed that time to try to catch up. The massive gap in CS is going to start causing some serious issues if DSG does not find a way to staunch that bleeding a little.
Yeah, it's good for Sajed, but then we see Jose.
Has no smite.
Yeah.
Now he does.
There we go. Okay.
Came back up just in time. He's going to be able to get that Drake, and he was able to get the crab prior to this fight. But things get started pretty early with them trying to jump onto Call Me. Core landing the handshake here, but then, and the charm follow-up, but Kryra being able to go in and assassinate the Ahri in the back line, and then being able to clean up the kill onto the Xin Zhao.
And I mean, honestly, it could have been worse, but Lions missed the binding.
Not bad. Not bad, not bad. Yeah, it's not bad. They use flash and flash.
I mean, it's one of these things where Bard gets those fights so quickly because he has a magical journey. He gets in. Really, all he needed to do was land that heal. He gets in range for the heal, is able to help keep Call Me alive. But if Core got bound under the tower, he could have potentially been going down as well. So could have been even worse there for TL. But at the end of the day, they do still have this slight lead. And LYON is really most of that, as he is a couple hundred gold ahead.
And that gold lead is going to feel even better since they got the early first Drake, and it's an early Ocean Drake. Since we're still in the laning phase when that first Drake is claimed, it means you're just going to have all of the extra sustain, making those trades that much more annoying for DSG to try to contest. They are down about 20 farm in the 80 carry matchup specifically. They do have a lead for Call Me in mid lane. I'm curious how well they'll be able to play around that here with the Aurora. We know this champion can be very dangerous since she has to go in very close range to get her damage in the larger fights. We know that close range is especially dangerous against Renata as the top laners scrap back and forth a little bit here, and it looks like both of our junglers will just be passing through mid.
Yeah, we're really going to have to see how TL execute on these dives, because when you have Ahri Vi, you have Kalista, like, it's so obvious when you are going for those plays, which can make defensive Bard ults really high value. As Jose caught on ward.
Yeah, Jose Diodo could be in some danger here. Tries to use the Vault Breaker to get away. Has to use the ulti to try to buffer through it, but it won't matter. Call Me gets the kill. Jose goes down.
That's the punish for not checking those brushes, right? He's just recalling on that ward that is in that side brush. Didn't know it was there. Loses the ult and dies. So losing that first ult definitely hurts. And this is a comp that wants to snowball, that wants to play from ahead. You have the defensive Bard ult, you have the potential counter engage from the Aurora, you have the Galio ult. Like, there's so many tools there where if you don't one-shot someone at the start of the fight for TL, that DSG really could take over.
Yeah, and that's where TL are really, really going to be looking at the power of this bot lane as we see LYON and Core continuing to play so aggressive. And another thing, Quid goes in.
Yeah, Quid trying to use the Spirit Rush there to grab the solo kill. Does land the charm onto Call Me. However, the heroic entrance from the Galio reinforces the DSG mid laner. Means Quid does not actually have the chance to go for the kill here. But you can see he's constantly looking for these aggressive moves on Call Me.
I mean, that's what you got to do if you're going to play Ahri. You need to play with confidence. Otherwise, there's no point in playing the champ. So he goes aggressive there. As soon as you see the Galio all come down, it gives that Galio passive magic damage shield. And he knew if he was going to kill him, it was going to be by the slimmest margin. So as soon as that shield pops up, there's no way you're killing him. You just kind of have to back off. And Castle, I think, has been very good for DSG. I think he's performed really well throughout the entire lock-in tournament. And he is going to be key, even though he's on a tank, for the team in this game.
Yeah, and we've seen the power of Galio, especially being able to come in and save a teammate like we saw there, or being able to engage or re-engage a lot of these fights. And I think, yeah, Castle has kind of been, I don't know if it's unsung anymore because we've now talked about it.
He's a sung hero.
He's a sung hero.
Yeah.
Yeah. And kind of the confidence, we talked about the confidence that this DSG lineup just has in each other, and being able to pull out that Nasus pick. It's also going to be on the flip side up to Morgan to see how he can contribute, especially in a lot of these early skirmishes and team fights that TL is really going to want to use to snowball with this composition.
I'm talking about early skirmishes and team fights. The next one might just happen about a minute from now. That will be when the next Drake spawns. Right now, Jose Diodo hanging around the top lane. It would be risky to try to dive Castle. We'll see if they want to go for it anyway. Jose going to drop the control ward here in the brush. And it looks like they'll just start this one off. There's your Vi Wombo combo into the equalizer. No risk at all. Team Liquid are totally fine with that one. They'll pick up the freebie here in top.
Yeah, easy to execute on that dive. Jose just locks him down in the equalizer. Castle was already too low, so there's nothing to outplay. You can't flash the Vi ult. There's nothing you can really do in that situation. He just did not have the health to be able to actually survive through it. And as a result, now Morgan going to be, up quite a bit of experience because Castle moved mid, so he's actually 9 briefly while Morgan hits 11. Morgan's going to be able to deny more farm, and all of a sudden this couple hundred gold lead and a little bit of experience that didn't feel like it matters, now matters a lot.
And that's where we're really looking to see what TL is going to do on the map, specifically with setting up for this second Drake. Because if the Rumble is there in that fight, he's going to be incredibly powerful.
Especially with that Leandri's Torment completed, that big first item power spike for Rumble that makes him such a terror in the mid game. Kryra going to go ahead and start up this second Drake. Call Me hanging around behind the pit, just keeping an eye out for Team Liquid. Lions and Sajed also both going to rotate over here, but Core and Yon are not willing to just let them try and do that. Lions goes for the ulti, and he finds Yon. Now can the Team Liquid AD carry get himself away to safety? It seems he will. Also going to drag Core JJ back and guarantee that they both escape. So DSG try to get the pick there. They know they had the numbers, but they can't get the kills.
They don't get the kills, and now they're losing farm mid lane because it's actually Quid just hitting the tower. So Quid is taking plates. He's denying the farm. Kryra pulled off the dragon, so the dragon is nowhere close to dead now.
Yep, and Jose Diodo has made his way into the bottom lane. Core JJ just trying to keep the pressure onto Sajed and Lions as Kryra is forced back. As soon as Jose shows up, Kryra knows, yeah, my bottom lane's not going to be able to rotate over to this faster. Quid still has that control over the mid lane here as well. So now TL will be the ones starting up the Drake.
Yep, they're going to be able to muscle in, and again, that's where this bot lane prio and mid prio matters so much, and really nice from TL to be able to play around that after kind of that initial skirmish there. It also, if we had a big team fight, delayed the time enough for Morgan's ult to come back up too, so he could have potentially been a threat in that as well.
It's a bit scary, I think, for DSG at this moment. Now, you've given up 2 dragons, you're down in gold, and plays like that are pretty costly. So it feels like this is going to be one of these games where it's going to come down to that 3rd dragon fight. We have to see, can they do what TL did last game, where TL was basically in the inverse situation, down around 1,000 gold, gave up the first 2 dragons, but were able to outfight at one team fight, and then the game kind of flipped. And that's kind of the position we're in. But all of these champions on TL's side are really strong on one item. And I do think that's going to be one of the big difficulties here for TSG.
And I think our next fight is looking like it might just be around this Rift Herald pit. That objective spawning here in less than a minute now. You can see the topside Scuttle Crab control does go over to DSG, but they're finding it difficult to move forward and set up anything else. The little Callista ghosts, so useful for sniffing around before these fights, seeing if they can find anybody out of position.
Do you think that's what they do? They're not looking around, they're sniffing?
Yeah, they're just sniffing.
They're sniffing?
They're like little ghost puppies.
Are they blind?
Maybe.
Well, now I don't like that they can be killed.
Oh, yeah, that does feel kind of bad now.
Yeah.
Well, no, they can't be killed because
revise that statement. Change the lore.
Ghosts.
Time to retcon.
They're already ghosts.
I don't
They're
care.
already ghosts.
No killing dogs.
Okay. All right, they're not ghost puppies, but they do sniff around for enemies. So now we'll see if they can discover disguised here in their own jungle. All right, goodbye, little ghost. Adios. Kryra's going to take that one out of commission as Yon just continues farming up here in the mid lane. Does have his Blade of the Ruined King completed. Bandle Pipes is done on both supports here too. As Call Me trying to make sure that he stays safe here. Quid just playing so aggressive all game long so far. And now Jose Diodo wants to set it up. Go in here with the Vi. Does hit the smite onto Call Me, but does not want to overextend. Risk ulting Call Me underneath the turret, getting hit by that powerful Aurora burst and giving away a free kill.
Yeah, easily handled there by Call Me. He was not overextended. He gets the ult off of Quid, which is nice, who had popped that. So not a major cooldown, but only cost him a basic ability, so still going to be happy with it at the end of the day.
And it means that the Ahri will not be able to be nearly as effective if Team Liquid wants to try to fight for this Rift Herald, and so DSG is going to take their opportunity to start the objective up. You can see both top laners also posturing to get involved in this. Castle goes for the taunt, but he will not find Morgan as the Herald is down to about half health. Morgan looking for the opportunity to maybe equalize here, is overheated right now as Kryra's going to be the target, and Jose Diodo jumps in, wants to make the dive happen, flashes back over the wall to safety as Sajed is already down. Team Liquid looking for a little bit more. Yon is very low. Will the bailout be able to save him? No. Lions takes the kill on that one, but Team Liquid still firing. Castle's next to die, but Morgan gets smited down. It's a bloodbath here for the topside river as Lions falls to Jose Diodo. Kryra goes on a magical journey through the wall. TL wants to finish the last couple of kills. Call Me flashes for nothing, and Team Liquid will take the fight.
Team Liquid take the fight. I mean, Call Me was late to join, and I kind of expected Lions just use a defensive ulti onto Sajed to buy some time as they see everything is getting sent on him, but instead he looked for the more aggressive option, tried to catch some other members. No one blocked the charm, the follow-up that has to be stopped from the Ahri, and that is what sealed the fate of Sajed.
Yeah, and it's going to allow TL, more importantly, to pick up this Rift Herald that they kind of had
Aura not
first
here yet.
rotation on.
Look, Shinja.
Or tipping.
I'm on Kaisa.
I can't hit here.
No,
I'm in
T1.
front. Yeah. This is good. This is
Kaisa
good. You
dead.
can throw me.
Look, Shin. Shin
On
no
me.
flash,
Give me W.
no flash.
Lobby Joanne.
Galio no flash, Galio no flash, Galio no flash.
Kill one.
Bard no flash.
Kill Galio. We can win, I think.
Keep playing.
Sinjal no flash. Sinjal no flash. Sinjal no flash.
Get Froda. No flash.
Sinjal no flash here.
W10.
Nice.
Hey,
Good job,
B
good
now.
job, good job, good job. Hi B, I think we win.
No flash.
Or no flash.
Nice.
We got it. Oh, gabi.
Not bad.
Good fight.
Yeah, good price there.
Nice comps, honestly. TL, pretty clean calls there throughout the fight, tracking the summoners on the same page throughout of exactly what they wanted to do, and they just executed super well on it. It was a really snappy engage from Jose, even though Ahri didn't have ult. So Jet gets one shot, so it doesn't really matter. Just so key with the Vi Ahri combo. You cannot stop the Vi ult, so you must stop the follow-up. That is the part of the combo that you can break up. You cannot allow Charm to come through there. You know, someone's got to try to get in the way and body block that, or you have to use the really fast defensive Bard ult. Got to be able to shut that down, because now TL, with the Dragon in 30 seconds, are up 2.5K, and that lead is getting a lot bigger.
Yep, Lions has to be careful in the enemy jungle here. Tries to go on a magical journey to get away, but Morgan is still roasting him. Call Me coming in now to guarantee that his support stays alive, but they've got bigger problems. Kryra's now going to be focused up here in the river. Galio ulti to try to create enough space to keep him alive. Hostile takeover flies out as Team Liquid continues looking for more, and Quid's already found the kill onto Kryra. Morgan backs him up. It's a double kill for Quid as the Aurora falls. Castle's out too. It's 3-0 for TL, and the Dragon's going to be the immediate trophy.
And they mow down Disguised before being able to now get Soul Point on the Drake stacking, which is absolutely huge for this composition. They're also going to be able to get this tier 1 bot, and Quid on this Ahri is now a massive problem. I also really like how they're using Morgan's power in these fights as well. We wondered how much is this Rumble going to be able to contribute, looking to double up that Rumble win rate as he just gets so much damage onto Lions, follows him through the magical journey because he knows that the rest of his team is collapsing.
Just look how split up they are. Two over here. You have Call Me ulting to get over the wall to even join the fight. Kryra's basically already dead. Lions ran out the bottom. Like, they're all on a completely different page. And then we have this this Bard ult going into the background where Castle's been hostile takeover. It's just like no one is doing the same thing, it feels like, in this fight for DSG.
Yeah, and it especially matters when Castle comes in initially, right? Because TL is already there surrounding him while the Ahri is attacking on the front lines of the fight. So really, really nicely done from TL. And now they're on Soul Point, and they've kind of cracked open the game for themselves with a 5K gold lead.
Yeah, it kind of feels like we're already past the point of no return, and it's not even 20 minutes on the clock. TL has total control over the map. They have total vision control over this Baron Pit area. Jose Dioto, once again, looking around, setting a trap. The TL Classic, support in jungle, move into the enemy jungle, and start looking for pick opportunities. Castle knows it's too dangerous to go anywhere near here. Jose's Vi is very strong right now, 3-1-5, nearly 100% kill participation as LYON and Call Me trade back and forth a little bit. Call Me, of course, is going to win those very snappy, very fast trades on the Aurora, but it's still not enough to buy DSG the ability to push back out. It's still so scary to check into any of these brushes because if Team Liquid's waiting, they're going to win.
Yeah, and whenever this happens, you also see, for example, Rumble pushing on the bot side as we look potentially for another trap play through Fog of War.
Uh-oh. They know they need to check, and so at least they see now.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to check that out, make sure that no one is on the bear. And of course, the scary thing is always when you get vision, they could just instantly start after the vision expires. And LYON has pushed up mid. Now he's going to go back over there. TL has just completely turned the lights out on DSG, and Call Me going to be pushing out bot, but he's down 2 levels right now to Morgan.
And one thing I've really liked thus far from TL, not only in this game, but in game 1, that I felt like they were struggling with up until this point, is some of their side wave control. I feel like that's something that they were known for super, super well when you had APA and Impact, 2 players who are just so map-oriented and minded about those side lanes.
Call Me in some danger, though. LYON looking to put the spears all the way through his heart, and that'll be the easy kill for Team Liquid. They want even more. So Jed tries to escape, but Quid and Jose are right there waiting. Disguised has just completely fallen apart in game 2, and TL now have a free ticket to the Baron.
Yeah, I mean, that's really tough. You know, Call Me wanted to just try to use the Rocket Belt to get out safety, but then that went into the wall. Then he tried to use the ulti, but it wasn't really placed very well, so he couldn't actually quite get to it. And then there was a really nice time Callista ult, and Core flies in and knocks him up as he's trying to exit out with that ulti. And at the end of the day, dies without flashing, is taken down, so Jed is gone. TL's going to get a free Baron. Game 2 is cooked. Like, this game is completely cooked. Yeah. You're hoping now for a massive series of mistakes. Like, TL has to have their carries pretty much go down and int one at a time for DSG to have a chance. It's just completely gotten out of control.
DSG's hoping and praying that Jose did not charge the mouse enough here in this game, and something happens to the Vi in the middle of a team fight, because any straight up 5v5 is just not winnable from here. LYON and Jose going to push towards the tier 2 turret here in the top lane. Disguise trying to defend what they can. Meanwhile, Quid is prepping the push over in mid for the multi-pronged attack from Team Liquid. Core JJ maintaining control over the enemy jungle. Kryra forced to ult defensively on the Xin Zhao, but still Jose and Quid are looking for more plays. Galio ulti also forced out of Disguise now as Castle tries to land a Justice Punch, see if there's anything they can get back, but Disguise just don't have the firepower.
And while that's all happening, you have Kalista already attacking the top turret. Once again, they should be able to easily take this with the Baron buff. And this is what makes this TL team now so dangerous, is because they can split you up, play with Fog. They're in such a strong position. Oh.
Okay, Lions hits the Bard ulti there onto LYON, but it's not really going to get him a whole lot. Castle's now taking a ton of damage. DSG's only play ends up being serving their own dudes on a silver platter. Quid is unstoppable. Lions is going to drop double kill back over to the Ahri, as nobody but Call Me is left standing, and Team Liquid is just going to walk this one straight to the Nexus. 23 minutes on the clock.
It's even more one-sided than the last game. Quid is going to look, won't find Call Me, but does it even matter? 15-4, they're just getting stomped.
They don't even have time to get the Dragon Soul. Call Me, yeah, he's trying to ping pong back and forth, but the ace comes through. TL pushing onto Nexus turrets. First one about to collapse. Nobody's going to respawn on Disguise in time to truly make a difference here. Morgan almost dies to the turret. Another Ghost Puppy is summoned up here at the very end. The Nexus will fall, and Team Liquid looks dominant.
It was great to see this coming out of TL, specifically with this composition, right? We talked about how deadly the Vi Ahri combo can be. We talked about the Rumble win rate, which Morgan has now doubled in the LCS.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the LCS, where Disguised are one game away from elimination until Spring Split if they can't lock it in here. Game number 1, they had control for a while, but then after TL took control, they never really got it back. Game number 2 felt like Disguised just was not able to keep up with TL at all. Final time on the clock was, what, like 24 minutes when the Nexus exploded? It was TL dominance.
I mean, it is hard to end a game that fast these days. Like, it's just very, very rare for games to be that quick. So definitely a couple stomps by TL. They are looking really, really good. Now the question is, can these rookies over on the DSG side, like, can they stabilize, calm down, be able to reset yourself mentally, and try to have what it takes to come back? Because you would need to reverse sweep a team that has tremendous amounts of experience in these situations when you have very little yourselves.
Yeah, and the big difference maker to me has been every time DSG kind of makes a mistake, it just seems like the TL punish is that much harsher, as opposed to when we did see DSG get a lead trying to play with it, we then had Sajed kind of moving a little bit too far up in the mid lane in that first game. And we'll see how they can stabilize. I think the thing I'm looking from them is we talked about how potentially creative this team can be, especially with, I think, Kryra in the jungle. He has a few pocket picks that we've talked about that he could potentially bring out. And then we know Castle is very willing to play a wide variety of champions. But honestly, the big thing for me has just been, even when they did get that bot 2v2, since in the LCS we have been so 2v2 bot lane focused, it's really been LYON winning out as the better AD carry in both of these games.
I mean, TL has been looking good, and I feel like it hasn't as much to me been about individual differences as it has been about team coordination, though. You know, when I think about a lot of these team fights where it's like, okay, the wheels just fell off, it is DSG split up completely. It is DSG with like 3 different plans, and it is TL with 1 plan, right? And it is, you know, 4 or 5 TL members walking together. Well, one guy from DSG is over here, some guy's clearing vision, someone's looking to run, someone's looking to engage, someone wants to go bot lane. And it just feels like they're struggling to get on the same page. And if you go up against a team that is very decisive with a lot of engage tools, and you are having that kind of game, you're just not gonna have a chance.
All right, we're into draft for game number 3. Let's see what Disguised has
C9
cooking.
fan.
The
That is a
C9
funny
fans
poster.
are eating good so far this split, I think. As once more, we've got the same draft setup that we did in game number 2, where Disguised have elected for last pick. Team Liquid has elected for the blue side. That means the draft makes sense based on how we normally imagine it to be. There's no shenanigans going on. We will have the Varus, the Jarvan, and the Akali banned out by Team Liquid. Meanwhile, Victor, Renekton, and Nocturne banned out by DSG.
And two big champions I'm immediately noticing are both in the mid lane with Azir and Orianna, both up to be able to trade for either team. Definitely, I think why we see that Nocturne ban coming out. So if TL do want to first pick that Orianna for Quid, they won't then have to deal with the Nocturne Orianna combination. But we see the Pantheon is actually going to be coming out for Jose Deodo.
I mean, it is kind of funny because these days, basically, like mid-jungle, I was talking about this on the dive, but there's either 1 or 0 for each role, depending on the role, AP or AD champions in those roles. So essentially, Yone is the only champion in the top 20 pro picks in mid lane.
Yeah.
And if you want to count like Sejuani or whatever for jungle, there's like champions like that. But basically, you have to go down to Diana for someone who's like actually stacking AP. So really, every game essentially becomes you're just tier list drafting the AD junglers and the AP control mages, and like. That is kind of where we are at right now in Pro League of Legends. And as you can see, Xin is gone, Vi is gone, Trundle is gone, Wukong is gone,
next?
Jarvan is banned, Nocturne is banned. All right, well, now it's time to go down to Pantheon, and maybe, you know, if you want to splash in like a Zehen or like a whatever, you know, like it's really what League of Legends is right now. And this is probably going to be an Aatrox jungle, could also be top, of course, but that is another one of those, if you're just kind of tier listing down, all the ones that haven't already been banned out.
All right, Team Liquid, what are we going to cook up? I also am just going to put a tiny little asterisk. I know that Enchanters are back and everything, but Core JJ has historically been one of our supports who will play a Pantheon support. So I'm going to say there's always a possibility it's a flex.
That is true.
I've seen Kangas play some Pantheon support, and if I'm going to be judging it off of that, it's looking pretty weak right now. It needs some
there
buffs.
might be a slight difference between Core JJ and Kangas.
That's not fair?
Please.
Sorry, Kangas, if you're watching from home.
No, we love you. As expected, though, we see the Azir coming out of Quid. Azir is a monster to me just because he fits in so many compositions. If you're ever wondering, is Azir ever going to fall out of pro play? The answer is pretty much no, unless they absolutely gut him and make him unavailable for solo queue as well. And we see the Gnar hover.
Locked it away, okay.
Now, this is where I would love, if you can actually swap that Aatrox to jungle, if Kara was comfortable playing it, then Castle could try to go for something a little bit more spicy in the top lane. You could try to look for some counter picks.
Yep.
Like Ignite Kennen is what immediately came to mind for me. Jace is another good one. There are some different matchups you can go, but I feel like, hey, you just got stomped in 2 games. Counter pick for your lane, play a combat summoner, see if you can blow the game open. It is going to be Jax, which I think is fine. I don't really see this as a lane counter, but it is something that outscales and definitely has potential to put pressure on Gnar.
Also something that we just know Castle is super comfortable with, right? So in these situations, a lot of times they're probably just asking him what he's comfortable with, and they end up with the Jax. So we'll see how he'll be able to pilot that. I do think as the sung hero of DSG
Tales are written about him.
Exactly. Some tales. The big thing, difference maker that has been in team fights when he is able to find kind of these really interesting flanks. We've seen him do well on the Jax. I still remember that Aurora triple kill he had in Topside River during their last outing. So we'll see how he can contribute here. Once again, Ashe taken off the table. DSG do not want to go up against that Ashe Seraphine lane, and Ezreal removed for TL.
I think we're kind of now into the territory of you're either going Jhin and playing supportive, or you're going hyper carry and doing like Aphelios, Lulu, you know, Jinx, those kind of things. So that's kind of, I think, where we're at in the AD carry tier list right now. You can also go Sivir as far as, you know, those hyper carries are concerned. So I'm going to be interested to see if TL wants to continue squeezing that pool and where they will go.
Xayah banned out here by Disguised, wants to get rid of that AD carry with the powerful self-peel, right? That defensive ultimate that can save her from the Aatrox and the Jax when they try to dogpile in. Right now, I'm also looking at Disguised comp, and I'm not seeing a whole ton of engage. I feel like the remaining picks, obviously one of them has to be a marksman, so the support, I think you're going to need some stronger engage potential if you really want to be able to make plays against Team Liquid.
Yeah, and as we see this Smolder hover coming out of Sajed, another really interesting thing is that Karma is now off the ban list if they want to go some sort of Enchanter pushing lane, and Lulu is available. Again, we've been so heavily bot lane focused, and that's going to continue here with the Lucian locked in for Sajed, and my assumption is going to be, based on what TL pick, they're going to adjust their Enchanter on that.
Yeah, I mean, you can do Enchanter. Obviously, Nami was already played earlier because of that pairing, but so you could do things, common pairings like Melio, like Braum are good. But I kind of agree with Flowers that they're pretty light on engage, so maybe you just kind of like slam down the Alistar and you still, do something like that, even if it is a weaker lane, just to try to enable their engage. And I think on the other side, we probably are going to get like a Aphelios Lulu or something along those lines. Aphelios Melio would also be cool because it could be a denial pick from the other side. So this is kind of where we are at with the picks that are up and available. The engage is not going to be great on the CL side either. It's like a flash stun from a Pantheon or a flank from a Gnar. Azir obviously does have the potential to start fights up too. So both teams will be a little bit light on engage, but generally when that happens, range kind of becomes king, right? It's who can poke and prod and force the other team to do something, force them to react. And right now, based on what we're seeing, I feel like that is more in TL's favor.
Yeah, especially with the Azir and then the Aphelios Lulu coming out of this bot lane. It does make it so much more dangerous if they do feel like they need engage and want to pick that Alistar. That's going to be a really, really rough initial lane, but no, they're actually going the Rel in as their engager.
I mean, Rel, you can pop Lulu shields. That's always kind of nice. You do have some good AoE engage. I really felt like their comp needed it, especially if you're going to be playing alongside Orianna. Sure, the Jax could try to get it in there, but Rel is a way more effective ball delivery system in most cases. So I do think, did they get much out of this like fifth pick counter pick? No. I think you could have been blinding the Rel and you would have kind of ended up in a similar situation. Excuse me as I stumble over my words. But I think that they had to kind of do it for their composition.
And I feel like this also goes hand in hand with what we were talking about, how Disguise doesn't seem like they've all been on the same page so far in this series, particularly compared to their opponents who seem much more coordinated. If you don't have that solid engage, those mistakes, those discombobulations are going to be that much more apparent, right? If we just have the one big go button, okay, strap the ball to Rel's head, Cinder in there, right? Like that's how you're going to get everybody on the same page. You have a very clear, very telegraphed, hey, we are going in, and I feel like Disguised have got to be coordinated if they want to keep this series going.
And by contrast, although we did talk about kind of a slight lack of engage on TL side, they still do have a lot of tools where they can coordinate and kind of stack some sort of CC potential with the Gnar, like you talked about, Azael, with the Azir shuffle. So if they are able to set up team fights well, they'll have the range advantage with the poke, and then they'll be able to set up engages.
Plus, you can also do the cool thing where Azir makes the wall of soldiers, Gnar slams everybody into the wall of soldiers. A little bit of wombo combo fun there if they get the timing down right. But we're on to the Rift for the third time today. Runes on your screen. Nothing really super surprising here. I am curious how well the jungle Aatrox is going to be able to do. Isaac, you were talking about how the tier list just kind of work. You go down them. A lot of the junglers have already been picked.
The next best AD jungler.
And that just happens to be Aatrox this time around. So mid lane as well. Quid, we saw him playing so aggressive in the previous game on the Ahri. Obviously, Azir is not going to be quite that level of aggro, but I still do want to see him continue to play in the faces of his opponents.
I will say it's kind of cool. Obviously, Cryer doesn't have a ton of competitive experience, but it is his first ever Aatrox game in competitive play. And Aatrox, I do think, is a champion that takes some games. You really do kind of have to know the limits, because on these drain tank style champions, you have to know how far you can go, right? How much you can push the limit. So it takes a lot of experience as far as that is concerned, and then just getting really comfortable with the EQs, making sure you're placing those well, like all the timings on how to actually duel, and knowing your limits in the 5v5s.
Yeah, and we'll see if he can potentially pull it off, because I think talking about, again, the way this DSG roster was constructed, Kryra coming on, the fact that they continued scrimming with him even when Kisno was the one who was here and he was still playing from Canada. I think this is a really interesting angle for him to be able to pop off, considering how much they've relied on him not even as a carry, but also as a facilitator.
Okay, tri-lane cam is on, and it's a fast path towards bottom lane for Jose Diodo. Level 3 on this Pantheon, looking to maybe set up a dive. This is a massive wave that's about to crash into the turret. So Jed is still only level 1. The Pantheon jumps in, and there's your first blood over to Team Liquid. That is an absolute disaster for DSG in the bottom lane.
Thank you, Jose Diodo, for giving me my early jungle gank. We got it. Finally, really, really nice recognition that with this bot lane being as shoved in as it was. We talked about the pushing power, especially of the Lulu here. So really, really nice wraparound gank.
It's 19-2 in bottom lane minions. To 2.
That's why I was going to say, I kind of almost want to, like, see how it went so bad. Like, what was the trade that went that horrible? Was it just, you know, them going a little bit too far and getting slowed down and chased down, or kind of what happened? Because usually for those types of HP advantages to happen, it's like someone overextends.
Maybe even though Atrox comes, you can one-shot it.
Barry, okay?
He's on
No
heal.
heal.
What do you think? Yeah.
I'll go.
I can start tanking. I drop. I drop.
Back up, back up.
Nothing. Yeah.
Good job.
I mean, that was easy, but Morgan, yeah, I mean, that dive just looks so easy, right? You know, to me, it's like, the interesting part of that is kind of how they got that low. And I was watching some of the other lanes more for the trading there when we were in the tri-lane cam, but, you know, LYON not even having to use Ghost to trade down and get a big trade or anything like that. That's rough. I mean, when you're going up against Aphelios Lulu, it never gets better. It's these champions scale to infinity, so there's no like, all right, we'll just scale, guys.
Yeah, just play safe, fellas. It's a problem down here in bottom lane, and the problems continue. Lions down to 200 HP. LYON chasing after him with the Gravitum. Core JJ making sure that his AD carry can make this pursuit go all the way underneath the turret. So much damage onto both of them. Disguised bottom laners both have to flash away and barely survive.
I mean, that is horrible. And now you have Infernum, so you're just going to be able to fast shove the wave and crash it. So you're going to be able to deny some of these minions here also. And that is just ghost traded for 2 flashes. So, and then when you have no flashes, it's not even like you can hope for the bailout of a gank, because this is Aatrox. Aatrox needs some setup. Aatrox can't just like run in and one-shot them, right? Like, you need to have the rel to be able to set something up. So this is looking dire. I'm not going to lie. Dire already for DSG. Their bot lane is basically out of the game.
Plus, Jose Diodo's on Pantheon with a point-and-click stun. No flashes to get out of the range before he can make that happen. Guarantees that if he wants to show up again, they're going to have the tools to make a play and continue trying to just steamroll this game through bottom lane.
Yeah, and it's really nice to see, again, how well this TL bot lane is performing. We talk about the power of them and how good they've been in the past, and how good they've been in scrims. Everyone says they've just absolutely been crushing it. Here, I was wondering if Jose was going to go for something here. With Kami pushed up.
It's easy spotted on the ward to realize, you know what, just going to back it up. Not really much anything there.
Yeah, Quid also not quite level 6 here on the Azir. Usually you'll see them go in and try to immediately ult the Orianna as soon as they get the chance. Lions and Sajed back down in the bottom lane yet again, and it's just another stacked up wave that LYON will be able to farm all of. Will not miss any of that CS, as Calmy's now in some danger. Flash stun coming out from Jose Diodo. Needs a little bit more damage to secure the kill. Comet Spear, nope, didn't end up actually throwing it.
Honestly, at the end of the day, pretty nice. He just used the Aegis Assault for the little burst of move speed, gets in close, flash, stun, and it is just a trade of flashes at the end of the day. But now Quid has flash, so you could look for a repeat gank, especially when Jose gets 6, where it's easy to set that up for the Azir, sweep him back in with your flash, have the Pantheon all come in.
Yeah, the thing is about hitting level 6 for Jose, though, because he has been spam ganking so much, he is behind Kryra in terms of the pacing, in terms of the EXP. Kryra going to take the opportunity, go for this first Drake. Unfortunately, it is a Chem Drake. Usually not going to be the strongest early on or ever. But you get it out of the way, you grab an objective, which is honestly a relief considering how bad bottom lane has been going so far. To be able to take the first Drake is, you're wiping the sweat off your forehead a little bit.
Yeah, it's actually huge because you don't give away that early Drake stacking to TL, especially when this bot lane has had so much pressure on this bot side as we see them shoving another wave towards that turret. Was it you, Flowers, who said that Chem Drake is so stinky, that's why no one wants to take it?
That sounds like something I would say. That sounds like some logic behind it, as Team Liquid pushing up in the bottom lane here yet again. Morgan goes Mega Gnar topside, forcing the flash out of castle in response. So now both top laners without their flashes. Or JJ putting the deep ward here next to the enemy Gromp as the big wave crashes into the turret. Sajed and Lions at least not going to get dove on this one, so Sajed should be able to pick up most of this farm, but the pressure just remains so constant. It's still 55 to 35 in the bottom lane CS.
Yeah, and don't allow bot lane being cooked to distract you from the fact that top lane is also looking kind of cooked. he was down 20 CS at one point. He did collect the wave. He's going to be pushing back to Morgan. But Castle had the ability to counterpick, had his flash force there in the 1v1. And it's just looking rough. I mean, they can't even walk up to the tower, really. Jose's coming, and if Sajed tries to enter, he's going to die.
Yep, looks like Cryro will at least make his way in here as well. Level 7 on the Aatrox, so he is pretty strong. Goes forward, looks for the Darkened Blade. Jose Dioto is going to be your target, but Lions dies first, and Jose just throws up the shield. Now the smite to Cryro as he tries to get his way. The World Ender is used, but no, Yon's got the chase. The Crescendum is so powerful in these situations. Once you have all those Chakrams stacked up, there's nothing the enemy can do about it. And Team Liquid, can they even get Sajed here? Probably not, but man, it's just another point of pain here in the bot lane.
Yeah, Sajed is not having a good time as we see the ult coming out of Quid.
Ooh, nice, and the 2 turret shots as well as Call Me tries to get away. One more hit will take him down, but Call Me survives for now, has about 20 HP remaining, is using the potion, trying to heal up, wants to see if maybe he can get away on this one, goes for the TP,
Ooh.
and Call Me calls it quits in the enemy jungle, manages just barely to get home.
Call Me escapes, but still a massive win for TL, going immediately from that bot side play into Quid, pushing up. As we see, Core JJ has just been such a problem, and I was a little concerned for TL with the level lead that Cryra has, but Lions immediately gets stunned up and dropped as he goes in. Cryra gets polymorphed, and all the chakrams coming out of Yon just kill off Cryra.
Yeah, and I mean, while you do have a level lead there for Cryra, the problem is Lions is less than half HP, has to use the heal before he even goes in, and Sajed was level 4 to level 6 on the Aphelios, so it's like, there's just no damage behind that engage. I don't blame them for going for it because it was looking completely doomed. If you can't walk up to your tower at this point of the game, you just can't play the game. And unfortunately, that's the situation that they are in, now down about 1K. The buy for Sajed is looking rough, and it is going to be a really tough game to be able to kind of claw back. It's feeling very similar to Game 2 to me.
DSG are trying to maintain a little bit of control around this bottom side river if they can. They secure another scuttle. Cryra tries to steal away some camps there, looking at the enemy chickens. Sajed, again, just forced back. The Lucian having to run away from Lulu because Lulu is just straight up stronger is not good tidings.
No. He did hit level 6 now.
Hey, Quid manages to just slide away here from Cryra, and this is kind of what you were talking about earlier, right, Azael? With the Aatrox, he needs setup. It's hard for him to just walk into the lane and try to make something happen.
Yeah, and Jose might have been looking for a play on that bot side. Jose has just kind of been everywhere with this Pantheon. I really, really love how he's approached playing this out with his lanes, even with that kind of level lead sacrifice that he was making.
And I think it's just one of these situations where you have to recognize your role in the game, right? You have Aphelios, Azir, Lulu. Like, you have a lot of scaling, a lot of damage. Your job on the Pantheon is to enable them, to set them up for success. So if you have to drop farm to be able to put them in a better situation, that is worth doing. Jose is behind them once again, and Aatrox is not here, so...
Yeah, there's the wild growth. Lions is locked up. He's out of there. Jose Dioto on a killing spree, and Yon has the Infernum yet again to fast shove the waves. Sajed's trying to cull the wave down just to keep himself alive, but the culling can only take out the front line of the minions. Now Jose and Core can just walk on up. It's that easy. Another kill over to Jose Dioto.
This is absolute decimation coming out of TL on this bot side of the map. Because I thought Quid might be looking for another potential ult there. Doesn't go for it. Takes a lot of damage.
Call-me's like, don't worry, guys, I'm up 6 CS. How are your lanes going?
Just that nightmare situation where you feel like your lane's going well, you press tab. You really wish you didn't press tab. Now we've got the ulti coming in the mid lane from Jose Dioto. Flashes towards Call Me, goes for the stun. Needs a little bit more damage to secure the kill. Won't quite find it here just yet. Comet Spear collides, but he doesn't have the damage.
Nicely done there by Lions. Good roam, covers his mid laner, so doesn't have to use the flash. And Kyra gonna get pushed back. I mean, Quid is low. They are kind of hanging around, but I just don't think that DSG have the ability to actually get access to him. So it will just be the pushed wave. And you can see LYON already has the Stormrazor, so the move speed gonna be ramping up quite a bit now too.
Yeah, both mid laners chunked, but importantly, Quid has his teleport available, and Call Me does not because he had to use it earlier to get away when he was behind enemy lines. So this should be some pretty easy setup around the Drake for TL if that's what they want to go for. DSG is trying to burn it down fast before that can happen, but Quid has already made his way back into the mid lane, and Kryra and the rest of DSG are going to have to seriously consider how badly they want this Drake. Kryra's still hanging around, but here goes Jose Dioto immediately starting up the fight. He's taking a ton of damage. Shield keeps him alive a little bit longer as Lions goes in for the engage. Jose is low, but he is not dead here just yet. Finally shut down, goes up to DSG and Lions. Quid is in the middle of everybody, but they still don't have the damage to get the kills. LYON goes forward, but it's a double kill for Lions. LYON is down to 50 HP, trying to heal up here on the Aphelios. Core JJ right next to him wants to try to keep his carry protected. Nice use of the Wild Growth to deny the crash down, but the kill still comes through. DSG. It was looking so bleak, but they found themselves a fight. Now Core is trapped in the enemy jungle. Lions looking to lock him up, but he misses Shattering Strike. Call Me takes the kill, and DSG aren't done fighting just yet.
Great job there by DSG being able to find something off the back of this Pagoda moment. We can watch it one more time, as it felt like LYON and Core were a little bit disjointed from where Jose was. Jose is very far up. All 4 members from DSG are hitting him the whole time, and LYON didn't feel comfortable to move up because Lions still had his ult. He gets flashed on there. Then you're thinking, all right, well, maybe LYON can take over now, but Quid on the side dies to Sajed as well as Lion. And, you know, then you're in this situation where you're in this kind of 2v3. I feel like they played it really well. The timing on the Wild Growth was great, and then Core moves in front to try to block the culling, but that just stacks you up with the Shockwave.
Yeah, and that's absolutely huge for DSG, who are looking pretty out of this game going into it, taking advantage of a really split fight, right? Like, not only was LYON not able to get in, but Quid was off on the side, a bit separated from his team as well. And now we'll see what they're able to do with it. But most importantly, I mean, they do secure... oh no, the Drake wasn't taken, never mind.
Well,
I'm crazy.
Sajed is no longer a minion at the very least. Like he has an item.
He has Kraken Slayer.
He's been upgraded. Yeah. So at least your AD carry is online. It's still a bad spot, but we'll see.
Yeah, Quid going in for the Emperor's Divide. Looks for Call Me here. Takes him down to about half HP. As you can see, Jose Dioto making his way forward, but Kryra has also arrived. DSG, they're gonna get another one. Team Liquid is playing sloppy with their lead, and it's DSG punishing.
Nicely done by Call Me. He just kind of kited it out. He is actually at a really strong point now. He has the tier 3 boots. He has his Ludens completed off the back of that last fight. So he has now the biggest individual lead of the game. He's actually more ahead than LYON is over Sajed.
Now Core JJ getting caught here too. Plenty of CC, and the culling has enough damage right behind it. Jose jumps into the back, wants to find the kill onto Sajed, but the Pantheon alone does not have a ton of damage. It's a double kill to Sajed. Team Liquid has thrown the lead.
And now Sajed is up in gold after that, which is a lot of really weird mistakes coming out of TL, and DSG being able to punish, getting their carries, most importantly Sajed, back in the game.
As a fan of both, you know, Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee, I really love some Kung Fu movies, and I appreciate TL reenacting the bad villains in those, walking in one at a time
to fight the hero. To get their butt kicked.
Exactly. Just, you know, Core go first, he'll see what's up. All right, you know, you took me down. Now, it's going to be Jose's turn. What can Jose do against our hero? And it's looking like not much, unfortunately, for him, as TL, you know, some pretty big mistakes, honestly. You know, Quid dies for free mid, and then you have multiple deaths bot.
He can't find me. He can't find me.
Yeah,
right,
man.
He can't.
True.
Yeah, this was a 3,000 gold lead for Team Liquid earlier. It is now a 1,000 gold lead for Disguised. An absolutely massive throw, and it's just crazy.
Look at the CS difference bot, by the way, and you're up 83 gold. It's like, hey guys, I'm up 40 CS on my enemy bot laner at 15 minutes. Oh, you're ahead on gold? Well, no.
Wow, okay, so DSG, we talked earlier back in like the first couple of games about how Team Liquid was getting more from their punishes, but in this third game, that is absolutely not the case. DSG has done a great job getting back into this game. They've got both of the early Drakes here so far. We'll see if they can continue finding more plays, as Core JJ and LYON could be in a little bit of danger here, but Lions isn't close enough to catch anybody. LYON has the Ghost to give himself enough distance to stay safe here on the Aphelios. I think Sajed might just get to his second item first. Calmy gets caught though. Jose Diodo and Quid looking to kill off the Orianna, but they can't quite get there. Lions comes in with the heal, keeps Calmy protected. LYON off to the side, but now a massive engage coming out from Lions. That was beautiful from Disguise. Jose Diodo now in danger as well as they try to chase after him. Make this a 3-kill affair. Triple kill over to Kryra's Aatrox.
And now this Aatrox is going to be a massive problem as we see him going after LYON a little bit. Morgan is able to clean up this tier 1 turret on the top side, but these fights are all now DSG, and a lot of it is the little Lions redemption arc on this Rel, the pick that they saved as the final pick to round out this composition. Jose and Quid think they're going to be able to get onto Calmy. He is the strongest point on this, but then here we go. Lions in immediately. Great Rel engage.
You know what I don't get is I was like, okay, there's a ward. They were on a ward the whole time. I thought, my initial assumption was, oh, they must have thought that the Orianna and the Rel backed off. They were on a ward. This is the ward. They saw him the whole time.
This Team Liquid decision-making in Game 3 is feeling like some solo queue stuff, man. Well, there's a guy with a different colored health bar on my screen. I should probably click him. Like, I don't feel like there's a greater plan here. It's just completely crazy. TL are going to start up the Rift Herald now, see if they can acquire the additional power to maybe regain control over the game through this objective. And DSG is not going to contest for it. Instead, just pushing out mid, pushing out bot. Herald goes over to TL.
The most deadly Rel engage is the scene one.
Yeah.
As we see DSG continuing to kind of bully Morgan out of this bot side, try to get some damage further onto this tier 1. But yeah, I mean, now DSG are in a really, really good spot. We'll see if TL are able to do anything with this Rift Herald. They still do have this Aphelios who will be a problem. So now it's all about, okay, regroup, chill out, like LYON said, take it slow, you know, in game 1, and try to protect him, because now you have Kryra at 4-2-2. This Aatrox is going to be massive coming into team fights. Lions has been on point with these Rel engages, and Calmy has a really great ball delivery system from that.
And I think TL are pretty lucky that Morgan is having such a stellar 1v1, right? Because he got counterpicked. And he's up 1.5K, and they are down as a team 1.6K. Like, this would be, even if he was even, they'd be down 3K, right? And if he was losing to the counterpick, which is kind of what your expectation is, they could be completely out of the game. So credit to him. But it is kind of this redemption story that you're talking about for Lions. And we kind of touched on it, you know, how he had been performing, you know, before the Sentinel series versus kind of in the Sentinel series. You know, stats don't always tell this whole story with Sentinels, with the Sentinel series and with supports in general. But you know, he definitely was not on form, and it's nice to see him having a good game on the row.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we see TL dropping the Rift Herald. They have been able to take down this entire outer ring of turrets using the Gnar and then the Rift Herald in mid. So that's at least solid for them. And again, we'll be looking to see what they want to do with their next team fight, because if they give that Drake up, DSG will be on soul point.
All right, DSG, let's see if you can maintain that control. And for TL, I want to see them have some coordination. It has just felt completely haphazard these previous few fights that they've taken. People jumping in alone, going in after different targets. The timing feels off. Sajed going to walk up here in mid lane. Quick Ardent Blaze onto LYON, walks back away. Just a nice, quiet distraction while they begin the Drake down here. TP's coming in. Morgan wants to be a part of this fight. This could be the big X factor here for Team Liquid, but Morgan's the only one going in at first. Narbar mostly charged. Kryra's already secured the Drake, and DSG's just going to walk away.
And if they're able to walk away without even needing the TP from Castle, that is a huge win. LYON is trying to kind of section them off, see if he can find anything.
Okay, LYON does hit him there with the Moonlight Vigil, but Blast Cone over the wall, they're safe.
And the big thing was it looked like TL took too long to set up that play, right? Because you saw Morgan waiting in base. It was a matter of not if he was going to TP, but when and what kind of flank they were looking for to try to get this Gnar involved, time it around the Gnar bar, and they just weren't able to do it. DSG immediately go in, pick up that Drake, and now they're on Soul Point, Infernal Soul too.
They're looking really, really strong. And I mean, I understand why TL thought, hey, maybe we can actually look for this because Morgan just hit 2 items. Jose's already in 2 items. IE just got completed for LYON. But their mid lane is kind of out of the game as well, which is really, really difficult. You already have the 2 completed items, Shadow Flame as well as the Ludens on one side here. And then you look over at the other and you have the Oblivion Orb, like some little pieces at the end. But basically it's just Nashers and some trash, right? Like,
right.
It's Quid is having a rough one in this game.
And meanwhile, across the aisle, Call Me is not playing vegetarian Orianna. This dude is out here just eating burger after burger. Shadow Flame plus Luden's Echo, those shockwaves are just going to eradicate whoever they hit.
Yep, and as we see them kind of setting up.
Oh, Sajed trying to get away from this one. That's a big catch for TL. Jose Diodo makes it happen, but what can they get afterwards?
It would be risky to start up the Baron here. I mean, it's only 22 minutes into the game, but TL, I think, at the very least, want to bait it. They want to try to clear out vision. They haven't actually swept out that one ward in the pit, though, so DSG well aware of what's going on. And remember, Baron, that big debuff could mean problems if Call Me can get him behind them. He's behind.
Okay, Call Me looking for it, has to flash away to try to escape. Morgan now going to be your target. DSG trying to go after the Gnar. Kryra's stuck in the middle of everybody. The burst is plenty enough, and DSG lose their jungler. Now they've got to scatter. Morgan's still alive. Nice engage coming out from Lions, but there is no follow-up. DSG's trying to kill off LYON, but they don't have the damage to do it. Castle goes back in, but he falls. Jose Diodo gets the kill on the Jax, and now DSG have got to be careful.
Yeah, I mean, it just felt like Call Me got a little bit too clever there, you know, trying to come in from the other angle. He lost his flash early, and then he couldn't really connect with the rest of the team. And even though there's this great re-engage from Lions, it just didn't really amount to anything.
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't really follow up with a lot of damage, as we see this again where Call Me is separated from the fight. Kryra goes in. Morgan is actually able to get a really nice stun against the wall to take out Kryra there.
Now, so watch Call Me's Shockwave here. So obviously he's super strong. We talked about that. He has the rank 2 Shockwave. They go for the re-engage. He gets the ball in on Lions. It only connects on the Gnar. So not able to really hit much of anything there. And I just feel like if he was on the same side of the fight with the Rel, it's a completely different game, right? You're very likely to be able to get a multi-man Shockwave. And unfortunately for him, couldn't find it.
All right, TL back in the lead now, plus 2,000 gold. Morgan chasing after Lions. Team Liquid invading the enemy jungle, seeing if they can set up any picks, just like they've done in the previous 2 games. Less than 2 minutes on the clock until that Dragon Soul will spawn for Disguise. That one is going to be absolutely massive for TL to contest, but TL's not willing to wait. They want to contest Baron right now. Still 90 seconds until that Drake spawns. DSG is in the neighborhood, looking to see if they can take the fight. Infernal Chains onto Morgan, but he walks out of the side. DSG still on the approach. You can see Castle looking for the flank as Quid has to dash away from Sajed. Turret destroyed in the meantime over there in the mid lane. And we're just chilling. Okay, no fight.
Yeah, no fight. Jose now has opened up a really big gold lead for himself, and even off that early fight, Kryra got a lot of kills, completed his second item, but Jose has been stalwart throughout this game, has been great really the whole way through, and now completes the GA, so he is super, super strong. Quid is just going for a defensive build. He's just going to go for the Seekers because I think he realizes the game's not about him at all at this point, which is going to make it more difficult for Call Me. You know, you can react to that Shockwave, throw down the Stasis. It's just about, can TL keep LYON safe and keep him hitting? Because I think if they can, they're going to be set up for success.
Yeah, and that's where I'm also still going to be looking at Jose, especially with this GA locked in for him on the next fight. And they did pull that TP off of the Jax, right? So it's going to take him much longer time to walk up to this as they return to the Baron.
Yep, LYON's got the Chakrams here too. Look at how many of them he has stacked up. DSG still trying to approach, but the Baron is already gone. Team Liquid claim the objective. LYON still looking for an opportunity to put those Chakrams to good work. DSG's not going to give it to him, but now DSG can make a beeline straight for the Drake pit.
Yeah, they can go for the Dragon, and this could be Soul, so that's actually not a good trade for TL if they do end up losing this, and it looks like they are likely to. LYON is just going to go topside, so they get the Baron. As long as DSG can actually hold out through this Baron buff, they're going to be really happy. And again, it was just a weird fight because Calmy is not with the team. He's trying to come around on these flanks. He ends up actually TPing just into the Baron pit, but the fight was already over. They do, though, get the soul at the end of the day, and it's going to be this injection of gold for TL. But for this to be worth it, they have got to get so much gold. I know, talking to Freak, he estimated the value, the gold value of souls around 6,000 plus gold. So that is a lot, right? There is stats on the Baron. There is a little bit of a gold injection on the Baron, but like, I don't think they should be able to end the game with the Baron by any means. And now you have Infernal Soul on this super fed Orianna. If that Shockwave combo hits, you could be cooked.
Yeah, that one's going to hurt. Seeker's Arm Guard, we already mentioned it being available for the Azir, but the Orianna also having that defensive tool. So Calmy can hopefully feel safer positioning and posturing aggressively so that he can find high value on these Shockwaves, combo them there with Lions so they can get that huge wombo combo that really will make their team fight sing.
Yeah, and now the question is going to be, okay, how well can TL kind of set the map in their favor with this Baron buff, right? Try to push out side waves. We've seen the Gnar in that bot lane kind of constantly pushing up that wave. Lions is going to get spotted out here.
Yeah, Lions looking for Quid, who immediately just shuffles him back over the wall. The Azir still doing a solid amount of damage. TL going to group back up here. Pantheon ulti diving way into the back lines here, trying to finish off Lions and Kryra. Lions in some serious danger, does have to use the crash down defensively. Team Liquid putting the pedal to the metal here with their Baron. They've still got 60 seconds left on this, and they're using it to go down mid.
And initially, I thought Jose was going to go in way too deep, but the follow-up from Morgan was really good. Hit the Gnar bar at the exact right time. Kind of makes DSG have to scatter so they can brute force this mid-tier 2. Hopefully link up now with Quid, who's been pushing up this bot wave, and try to make a play on this bot side tier 2.
Yeah, they want to at least get this bot side tier 2. There's 37 seconds left on that Baron buff. Quid could get caught by Shockwave.
Nice Shockwave there, but can Quid escape? DSG trying to chase after the enemy mid laner. They hit the Darkened Blade. He uses the Seeker's Arm Guard, but he will not escape. Calmy gets the kill, and Disguised get the pick.
Nicely done. Disguise getting another pick there. So it is just the 3.4k gold lead at the end of the day with that Baron buff. They're not going to get anything more, but again, you know, around 6,000-ish gold of stats, you know, with that soul, that is essentially what that is valued at. Of course, it is different for every team comp. It depends on how easily you can apply, you know, this soul buff, how easily you can apply the damage. But it is going to be quite powerful. And, you know, DSG are not in a bad spot. So TL didn't really get enough with that Baron for it to be worthwhile.
Yeah, they weren't able to get kind of that tier 2 bot that they were prepping for. They did knock down the tier 2 in mid, but you know, all inhib turrets and 2 tier 2s actually are still standing. They pretty much just only added that mid tier 2 because they'd already had the outer ringer of turrets down for a while.
I will say though, Castle has had basically zero effect on this entire game. Like he is scaling, you know, he is getting levels, but he's not seeming to really get a lot of gold. Hasn't been able to catch up at all. He's down almost 3k individually. Like that is basically the entire lead is just Morgan. So, you know, if DSG can fight where Morgan and Castle are in a side lane, that is a great fight for you. So to me, your job becomes when you're getting slammed in a side lane like this, you just try to draw that guy to you, and you're just running at towers, trying to force them to respond, because if I'm not there and you're not there, it's way better for my team when I'm behind.
Right, the 4v4 for Disguised is very, very scary looking. Quid still very far behind the pace of the game himself here on the Azir, but Morgan with the 3 fully completed items on the Gnar is absolutely massive. See if he face checks into the brush here. Does take a quick burst of damage, but he's just about got the Gnar bar charged, so he continues just running straight at them, and DSG back away as Castle makes his way back out onto the map. He's on the flank here with a blast cone, but he does need to be a little bit mindful. Jose hits him with a very small amount of poke. Sun Disc will be destroyed here in the mid lane. TL have lost Morgan's Mega Gnar for now. DSG might look for their opportunity to go in, but it's a ton of burst on the Calmy. He's already dead! Quid takes the kill, and DSG have to try to fight without their mid laner. So Jed forced off to the side of the fight at the same time, as now Kryra is down. Lions will follow. TL just killed 4.
TL were constantly trying to look for these angles onto Calmy, finally get one there. I love how they've been playing around Morgan specifically, always looking for these flanks, and yeah, now they're might be pushing for the end.
Yeah, the death timers are long. It's 20 seconds until anybody else is back up. It's only Sajed to try to defend this. The Lucian, who had such a struggle early game, will not be able to hold the line. Team Liquid, it was a messy game number 3, but they make their way onto the Nexus turrets. They will clean sweep Disguised, and they will move forward, continuing their march towards first stand.
A little blip on the radar on game 3. It got a little messy, but game 1 and game 2, super dominant, and TL, at the end of the day, show their class in the team fight. It just felt like they split up that fight, one on both sides. They get this great engage, and they one-shot Call Me. And on the other side, LYON was just confidently walking forward, forcing them to engage on him. He has summoners, flashes back with the protection of Core JJ, and all of a sudden, everything has been lost on both sides of the fight there for DSG.
Yeah, and I love how they use their coordination to kind of bait out these fights. That's something we've been talking about with TL, right? Like, we want to see how well coordinated this team could be as they take a bow, and we'll move on in the lower bracket.